All right, welcome everyone. We are here for another podcast. Very special day. We have Kristy Arnett joining us. Kristy, how are you?
I'm so good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I hear you just got off of a layover, well, a long flight, so you got a little bit of jet lag. You were coming from Australia, is that right?
Yes, I went for the first couple weeks of Aussie Millions, got to hang out with Lynn Gilmartin, and I just got back a few days ago. We have a dog who's she's old and she has diabetes and we just can't be gone, both of us be gone for so long, so I had to come back, but it was a great trip. I love Melbourne. You've been,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I like how you say Melbourne. That's right. It's not Melbourne. I know there's people with they get this thing about it, but it's called Melbourne, Australia. It's one of the coolest
Yep.
cities in the world. So that's awesome. And I saw you just had a final table. Tell me about that. You're just fresh off, no big deal. Six max, very difficult form of poker. The most maybe you have to really play and be engaged in every hand. So how was that?
Well, it was the first six max tournament I've actually ever played, and it was so much action and so much fun. I'm actually on like a little, mid stakes, low stakes tournament heater. I went to Aruba and got heads up for a ring in like a $400 tournament, and then cashed in the main. And then I was like, I'm mostly a cash game player,
Right.
but the tournament bug is a real thing. It just bites you, and when you get close, and you're just like, let me fire some more.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's true. Like I think the first tournament I ever played, hit a final table, and it was just like that was it, right? So it's like it kind of gets stuck. I feel like because once you start tournaments, if you have any type of success, it's like, oh, this is amazing. Or if you don't, then you're like kind of like, oh, this is It's just like once you kind of get that deep and you get chips, it's just different than cash, which is more profitable. It's more fun maybe or more steady to play cash, right? But there's just can't really replicate that feel of a tournament. So I sympathize with you. It's hard to get out. And then if you win one or you do really well, then you're just kind of like, all right, like this is amazing. And then you're in there. So I get
Yeah,
it.
but
But
then you break a bunch in a row, and you're like,
right.
this is the dumbest thing ever.
Yes. It's the variance in tournament pokers, and it's huge, especially when you're playing these larger field sizes where a lot of time it's just you're not going to hit a big score or cash. But so okay, so you go to Australia, that's great, everything's going well. I follow along, obviously very engaging and entertaining and fun to follow along. Tell us a little bit about yourself, those that maybe don't know you, or give us a little bit of your beginnings and how you got into poker and where you grew up and all the good stuff so we can get caught up and then go from there.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I've known you for a long time, like over a decade probably, and because I've been in poker for a while. I actually just posted an Instagram post because I was on live with the bike and I had like a pretty decent win, and it was like a picture of me sitting there with a bunch of chips. And it
Mm-hmm.
reminded me of the first time I played poker, which was when I was 16, and I sat down and played a $3 sit and go with my friends. And it's on my Instagram. Let's scroll up a little.
Oh,
Oh
this
yeah,
is your
there it is.
website. But
Yeah.
is this the one, or you want on the Instagram?
No, on the Instagram.
Okay.
It's on the Instagram. Yeah, that picture with the all the chips.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I started with my friends, $3 sit and goes playing live, and we would watch the World Series of Poker on TV. We would watch the World Poker Tour, and it just got me dreaming. And then in college, where I played soccer, as you know, since we compete on the every summer for Team USA for the
Yes,
World Cup,
it's very fun as
um,
well.
Poker World Cup, that is,
Yeah.
and I was just hooked from the beginning. So in college, I would like deal these underground games and I would play in them. And then when I graduated, I moved to Las Vegas. I actually
Hold on, I
stopped.
got to pause it because I saw a story about your husband now, Andrew Moreno, who's a very talented player, very nice gentleman. Tell us a little about where he came into play because it's sort of around that time, right? You met him, you were in Indiana, you were doing some poker home game stuff. How did that happen? And didn't he win like the tournament the first time you ever met him or something along those lines?
Yes, actually, he was playing on Party Poker, and they like way back in the day,
Nice.
they had these step tournaments,
I remember those
and
very well. Yeah. 6 steps, right? For the 10K
yeah,
was this 10K one or something. The 1K. Yeah, I remember those where you could
they
win
were
a nice bit of
huge.
money. Yeah.
yeah, he started with like a $27 step,
Hmm.
and they were like, so then he got all the way up until a $15,000 buy-in
Right.
step, but that top step never ran, and
Hmm.
so he tells this story. So the step below it was a 3K step,
Hmm.
and he's like, this 22-year-old kid has maybe $200 in his pocket,
Yeah.
and he's playing a $3,000 buy-in. He was, one of the best poker players in town in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he was just learning all the time. And he played this one hand. He got down to maybe like, five people left,
Hmm.
and they, I hope I tell this right because it's such a crazy hand. So this guy, so so this guy raises Andrew three bets. The guy calls on like a nothing flop. The guy leads. Andrew raises. The guy calls on the turn is like a blank, and Andrew has ace jack high,
Hmm.
so he's just bluffing. The guy leads again on the turn. Andrew raises with nothing. And
Right.
then on the river, the guy leads one more time and Andrew jams. And like, obviously now this hand sounds insane, but this was like 2000, I don't know, 5.
Right.
So just crazy hand histories. And he's just like, because he's like, no, this guy's gonna fold. I don't even know what was going through his mind.
Right.
But the guy's tanking on the river. And if he calls, Andrew's out of the steps, loses all that money. And if he folds, he's still in, obviously. So
Yeah.
the guy folds and Andrew wins, and then he goes on to win that step. Then, like I said, the $15,000 step never ran, so they just gave him $15,000.
Right.
So this 22-year-old kid with 15K, he goes out to celebrate with his friends
Hmm.
because he just totally crushed.
Right. He's got, yeah, it's a huge, huge swing, right? $200 to 15K kind of, yeah.
Exactly. So his
Big.
friend gets a limo because they're like badasses now,
Yeah. I
and they
know
come
that.
and have dinner at the sports bar that I'm working at.
Hmm.
And like I said, I started playing poker when I was 16, and so I loved it. And I walk by him and his friends, and they are talking about poker. And I'm like, hey, are you guys talking about poker? And he's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like being cool. And he's like, what's up? I'll take you to play poker. And I was like, yeah, I want to play. So he gets my number. And then the very next night, we go on a date, and he takes me to, and I was only 19, but I had a fake ID. And we went to this
Okay.
dive bar where they were playing sit and goes, and he he just, because he was like the best player in town and everybody knew him, I was
Yeah.
like, oh, this is hot.
Yeah. This
Also,
is,
when
yeah,
you're
it's
19,
exciting. It's very exciting.
exactly, when you're 19, you totally want to go for the bad guys, like the guy who dropped out of college is a professional poker player the first date I ever met.
Yep. That's it. And I mean, what else is there to say? Here you guys are, right? It basically says it all. But it's cool because it was exactly, you were into it. You already like poker. It was like kind of right place, right time, and
Yeah.
it's like the butterfly effect to definition. He ends up doing well, gets this thing. It goes out. The energy's high. You meet, hit it off, and now here you guys are, both playing professionally and traveling the world, living your dream, and you've had a what 12 year plus longer. Since when I guess you got with Poker News, and what year was that?
Poker news. Oh, that was like when did I leave
Like, when
or
did
get
you
there?
get the role with Poker News? Because you officially like into the poker world. You got into what, card player and then into Poker
Card
News.
player first. Yeah, card player first in 2000 like 6.
Okay,
Yeah, and started as an intern and worked my way up.
but is that how, so
And
you and Andrew, you started dating? How long after that? After that, like, night, you were basically, was that like, were you guys just basically together from then
oh
on?
yeah, we were inseparable since that first night.
Wow.
So then we spent 2 years in Fort Wayne,
Hmm.
and then as soon as I turned 21, we packed our lives in my Chevy Lumina and drove to Vegas.
Wow.
And that's where I landed the internship.
And how was, what were you playing online some at that time? Were you in 2005, actually, you were by then playing? Were you playing some like local games, home games, and then also online? Like that basically?
Yep, we were playing local games, and we were playing on the 888 poker.
Yep.
Yep.
Shout out to McLean Carr too. He's a Fort Wayne, Indiana ties as well, and was a crusher online back in the day. Did you know McLean back then or
I
no?
didn't.
No.
He is actually a few years younger.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we'd left and then he came up.
Very cool. So you guys go to Vegas, you get this internship, you come into card player, and then what happened from there? So you get to work. It's pretty cool. You're getting paid to do poker at the time, sort of the peak, right? Poker's blowing up, moneymaker happens, Vegas is the numbers are high, World Series, it's just crazy times. What was that like working, and what were you doing specifically with card player? And then how did you get to go to Poker News?
So I started as an intern, so I was writing all these articles about promotions at Party Poker and all these things. But then because I was such an avid player and I was obsessed, they started letting me do strategy articles and interviewing poker players. And so I just worked my way up. And I remember the first cover story that I ever did was the Tom Dwan Der Challenge. It
Right.
was like announcing that, and that was such a huge deal and like a break in my career.
Hmm.
But also, I almost like he's like the only poker player who I've cried. Actually, I think Phil Ivey made me cry once, but he makes everybody cry. That's fine.
Right. Yeah.
Um, but but Tom Dwan, he's such an interesting character, and I knew everybody was going to read it. So when I tried to interview him, and he was such a tough interview. He like gave me nothing, and I was just
Hmm.
like 5 a.m. before the deadline trying to pull together. But I did. And so once I got pretty far at card player, um, Poker News kind of poached me. And when I think back about that, like Justin Marchand at card player, he gave me a shot, and I loved my family at card player, but I also really wanted to travel.
Hmm.
And Poker News was covering tournaments all over the world, and so that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to travel and go places. So I jumped over to Poker News, I think in 2009
9.
or 10.
Yeah. Hmm.
And but those first few years in Vegas, when I think back now, it's nostalgic, but packing up your bags and moving to Vegas and trying to make it, and Andrew was trying to make it as a professional poker player. He's a big fish in a small pond back in Fort Wayne,
Hmm.
but Vegas is full of pros, and it was much harder. And we were so broke and just I don't know. It's really fun to like look back and see how different things,
Right.
were at first.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things as well. Just you kind of look and see that you've done it for so long. You guys have been in the industry. You love the game, and I've read some of the material you put out or some of the stuff, and your kind of overall positive vibe. And I think you talk about risk, and that's like your risk every day. That's your sort of motto. And I guess that's from that quote, the T.S. Eliot quote: "Only those who risk going too far can possibly know how far one can go." I think that's like your is that your favorite quote, or sort of where it inspired you for that risk every day?
Yes, it is because and I want to be clear too because some people are like, "What do you mean risk every day? Should I just like put it all on black?" I'm like, "Okay, no."
Right.
We poker players, we take calculated risks. We take the step that gives us the best possibility to win
Hmm.
the most, whatever winning is in the given situation, regardless of if that step is scary, of if it is hard.
Hmm.
That's what we do. And I think that should be applied in life. And so often we don't ask ourselves, like, what's the thing in my life that's actually worth risking for? And almost always it is love in relationships, or love for our career, or love for like us sharing what we think we're meant to do in the world. So no, that doesn't include putting your bankroll on black. It includes like, well, what is it for you that you want the most?
Right.
Yeah. And a lot of us, when the quote saying you'll never know how far you can go until you reach that limit, I think that's something specifically for poker players, good ones, that they fall victim to a lot, which is good is the enemy of great. Like for a while in both of our careers, Andrew and I were winning. We're like playing like 2-5, and like we're making money. We're doing good. We're like kind of like living our dream, but we were stagnant for a really long time because it was scary to move to the next level. It's like scary to find out, what if you can't make it at the next level? and I'm sure you've come up so many, I mean, for you to get where you've gotten in your career, you had to have said to yourself so many times, like, okay, I know this is scary, but to get to the next level, what's it going to take? And you might find out that, like, holy crap, no matter what I do, maybe I can't make it at this level, but at least you'll know because you've tried.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. It's a fine line too to be comfortable and to step out, and it's also to kind of level up or to do it for a living, like you're saying, 2-5 or 1-2. These type of things are good, but you got play some tournaments, take some chances, do some things you're maybe not as comfortable with, but realize that you gotta go for it. So I love it, and I think that's important to clarify what that means. Or I can see why some people, it's so easy to take a quote, or it's, I guess, hard to understand really what that embodies or means. But I get it. That makes sense. And I think that's, it's a great motto to sort of mantra to live by. And so with the risk every day, what then you travel in the world, you're playing poker. I guess pretty cool. I would imagine Andrew's going to a lot of the stops with you along where you're going to Poker News. So you guys are kind of doing, the dream in a sense. What then said, all right, you know what, Poker News? Because when I think Poker News, that's what I think. I think Kristy Arnett. I think Lynn Martin. I don't know. You guys, is that where you met Lynn? Was
Yeah.
doing that? So I
Yeah,
mean,
Lynn and Sarah, my
and
two
Sarah Herring, who's still,
besties.
yeah, he's still there. So I mean, it's pretty cool too. You get to meet some of your best friends and great people that you're working with and cooperating with. What then shifted you to say, okay, you know what, I'm gonna now start playing for a living? Because that's a big jump.
Well, first, also, Sarah made me this cup. Oh my
Very
gosh, I
cool.
love them. And I know you just talked to Lynn too, and she just got inducted into the Australian Hall of Fame. How incredible is that? And she's raising like $100,000 for animals. I
Yeah,
know you guys talked about that. That's so
yeah.
cool. And that was amazing that you guys got to like help that along.
Yeah, that's
Um,
great. Yeah, no, she's doing a lot. She does a great job as well. It's cool. It's a good. You got those are two great best friends and very high energy, fun people. So that's great. But that's what I think of when you think of Poker News. That's like literally what I think of. So then when you were like, "Oh, I'm leaving," I was like, "Wow, that's you just kind of like get used to that's the face of Poker News." So yeah, tell me about that and how you moved out of that.
yeah. So right before I quit, I actually went through like like, the hardest time of my life. Andrew and I, we've talked a lot about him. We've been together now for about 15 years. And at that point, we were together maybe for like 9 or 10, but we
Mhm.
had reached a breaking point in our marriage because, um, and so we went on this, we were like near the brink of divorce, and we had to
Oh
grow
wow.
up a lot if we wanted to
Mhm.
stay together. So we went down this path of personal development, spiritual growth, healing, and it was just like a whirlwind of like facing our own crap and
Right.
growing. And part of that was understanding who we are as individuals, which was something that like growing up in the Midwest, I never like thought to like get to know myself, or
Mhm.
it's just, and we're never taught how to have deep relationships. I mean, it's something that you just kind of like figure out, hopefully.
Right.
And so we had to learn how to do that. And actually, the risk every day part was, we weren't taking risks on our marriage for a long time. We weren't telling each other the things that we really needed. We weren't in our own careers doing the things that we needed to do to like feel like we're moving forward, because
Right.
um and that really hurt us. And so as we barreled down this path of personal development and rebuilt our marriage, I realized what I learned about myself was that I had never really wanted to be the one. I never really saw myself as a poker professional because I was scared. I never really allowed
Mhm.
it. I grew up thinking like I have to have a job, I have to have a 9 to 5, I have to have someone else who pays me and my health insurance.
Right.
Um, and so I was asking myself, what do I really want? What am I really passionate about? And I had done everything that I thought that I could in poker reporting. I traveled the world, I'd interviewed the best players, I'd, um, you know, just taking my top off in Barcelona for a travel video. I
Hmm.
mean, I had so much fun, but I wanted to know what the next thing was.
Yeah.
And not only did I want to see if I could play poker for a living, because the life is really fun, but I also knew that it would give me the freedom to pursue and explore passions that I think I might have. So, so that's when I decided to walk away. And it was tough because I mean, it was before when I was like 19 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. It was like my dream job. And a lot of people's dream jobs, like, getting paid to travel and do all these things, but
Hmm.
that was a big risk and I'm so glad I took it. It was definitely the right one.
That's awesome. And that was that a difficult discussion, or was Andrew just like totally like, oh, of course, like go for it, or where you guys had to sit down and because you kind of have a rhythm at that point. You have some like set, steady money coming as a job. You get to be on the road. You get to still do poker, explore, maybe play some too, right? You get to do interviews. Maybe you could hop in a cash game. You probably can't play too much because you got to be during the days. It's not like you still have stuff going on. But how was he? Was it supportive the whole way and just like, all right, let's do it, or was he kind of like, I don't know? Was it just like from the second you said, I think I want to do it, you said go for it, or
Yeah, for
yeah?
sure. So one of the things that we really learned how to do during that time was be on the same team always. Um, and so, yeah, we had the discussion. We took a look at our money, how much we would need to make. And, the thing about being like a poker couple is that we because we have each other's back, we can each reach higher. And that is so important to us no matter what it is that we're doing. And even when we're in an argument, we like go back to that. We remember like, hey, we're on the same team. It's not like a win lose or a win win. And if there's something that I want to do and we can't do it currently with, you know, our situation, we're gonna find a way to do it. And the same for him. So yeah, totally supportive. We're always the most supportive if we know that there's something that's like really important.
Right. Okay, that's very cool. I mean, there's not many poker couples like you see Alex Fox and Kristen Bicknell doing the tournament high roller kind of stuff. It's pretty cool. It's very unusual to have couples that are really playing for a living and sort of also being active. You and Andrew do content. You're doing Johnny Vibes obviously is Andrew's brother, and it's cool too. Everyone's kind of it's like you guys are very public, right? There's not a lot of relations. There's not a lot of females in poker, first of all, and there's not a lot of females that are in a relationship. And granted, like this is a 15 year, you said, right? I mean, you guys have been
Yeah.
together forever and really been through the journey together. That's pretty. It's incredible. What is any advice you would give for just learning that you've had? Maybe because I'm sure there are couples that play poker together, maybe grinding, smaller stakes. Like how do you balance with that? You guys have dogs, no kids yet, correct? No,
Not yet, but
not
we've been
yet.
trying.
Been trying working at it. So that's next. But I mean, that's do you guys ride the heater? Is it like, all right, you know what, you're playing, you've just been on a sick run. Maybe you go play it. You guys play at the same time. Do you generally take one another? How do you guys rotate or work that out?
We usually always play at the same time. He plays much more than I do because I always have other projects. Like I said, I'm using poker to explore my other passions. And one big project that I really am finally on the right track and so excited about is that I'm writing a book, and I'll tell you about that later. But I want to answer your question because um, the thing that is the hardest part about being a couple, a poker playing couple, is, and I think this is true for any relationship. Actually, when you asked me, was he supportive? How did that go down? One
Mhm.
of the hardest things is seeing seeing him in pain. So in poker, downswings are inevitable.
Yep.
And they can make you question who you are as a human if they're bad enough. Like,
Yeah.
what the F am I doing with my life? Was I ever even good at poker?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh, yeah, of course, for sure. Especially when it's like kind of even more so intensified as you as a couple, I would imagine, just because it's like so prevalent, right? Like even with my wife, if I bust a tournament or things happen, whatever, right? But like if you're in it, live it, breathe it. You guys are like piling, you're seeing how your results are, and now let's say you're on a little doing well for a couple month or two, and if he's just like not doing well, then it's kind of like it's like demasculating in a way, I would think, right? Like having if your girl, like that kind of thought where you're like, oh, like maybe she's better than me, or maybe I shouldn't even be playing it, or vice versa, right? If you have to sort of both be playing poker, it's such a results oriented game. So it just seems like that, like downswings can be very intensified, I would imagine, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
can. They can. They definitely can, and
Yeah.
I've seen that. Fortunately, in like this specific case, like Andrew, he's, I mean, he's just the best. Like he really doesn't, um, like if we're both in a tournament, he would rather me win, and if he's losing and I'm winning, he's just like,
The biggest
oh, thank
cheerleader,
God I
right?
have a sugar mama, you know.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool. That's
But
good attitude.
he's always been kind of like the in our family, me and Johnny, like he's been the guy on the front lines. He's showed us the way. He's been the wise sage, the one who grinds and moves up first and then tells us like how to play, at the next level.
Yeah.
Um, but recently, like he's been on a pretty tough downswing, and he has shared about it on his Instagram, which I think is really cool.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's like sometimes I think parents even like they tell their kids not to go for the dreams, not because they don't think their kids can do it, but because they're afraid of seeing their kid fail. Because it's like, this is the person that you love in the world the most. It's so hard, So like when he busts or when I bust, it's just what I think is important is that you intentionally see that they're in pain and not make it about you and not wanting to experience it. I hope that makes sense. It's like because a lot of people are like, just feel better, because seeing them not feel good, we're like, it hurts too
Yeah.
much. Just like, no, it's fine, But like
Yep.
that never helps someone in a downswing. It never helps someone who's struggling or just busted from a tournament to just tell them to like not feel bad.
Hmm.
It's like you just got to sit with it and be okay. Be strong enough in your own to know that they're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's the advice that I think is super important.
And how have your families been? Your parents, his parents. What was that like growing in Indiana and just in general when you guys are sort of in that circuit, that scene playing poker? Was everyone like, oh, that's great, or was there some resistance? How was that for both?
Well, Andrew's parents are super supportive of him playing poker, but when my parents first met him, they were like, "He's a what?"
Yeah, yeah, I know that.
Uh,
Yeah,
no. So, but here's the two things that will always turn a parent around to if they are resistant to their child being with or dating a poker player or being a poker player themselves,
hmm,
which is one, if you never ask them for money and then when you go home you start taking them out to dinner, they're gonna
everything
be like,
everything's
oh,
cool. Yeah, this is great.
okay,
Yeah, this is
all
great. But
right.
and so were they supportive of you then when you wanted to?
Well, by then Andrew had already proven himself. Yeah, he's, you
True,
know,
true. But because
um,
you got into the media side, paying with the jobs. But like, what about when you were playing, or it was just more for fun at that point? You still had a job, and you were still like doing a mixture. You didn't just when you were in high school or 18, 19, you weren't just like not working and just playing poker. I would imagine, right?
right. No, I was always working,
Okay,
and they never really knew how much I played anyway.
right. Okay, fair.
But the other thing, number two, this will just put them over the edge is if you're on TV.
Mm,
If you make it on TV playing poker, your parents will just be like,
that's
"That's
sweet.
cool.
Yeah.
That's legit. If it's on TV,
That's
you're good."
certified, right? Yeah, for sure. That's true. So those are good rules. Yeah, I mean that's awesome. I guess that's true as well. Like you said, you did that. He was already showing the path, and then when you said, "All right, I'm gonna." Well, what about when you actually left? When you said, "All right, I'm stopping poker news. I'm gonna be playing for a living." At that point, were they like, was I mean, were they totally fine with that, or was that still kind of like, were they like, "You sure you should think about it," or were they just like, "Great,
Oh, they were definitely like, but
apprehensive"?
you're gonna do something else, right? And I think I just thought that was true, which it kind of was. I mean, I was pursuing other things and finding
Mhm.
out what else that I loved. So I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do other stuff.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
for a while, but
And the other stuff too. So you do have you have the risk every day. You have the podcast. You've done, how many podcasts have you done so far,
oh,
roughly?
I've done like 130 or something.
Wow. So and how have you felt the doing that? Because it's fits. You've done so many interviews. You're so naturally, you've done so much camera, these type of things. Is that just something that was a no brainer, or how have you liked that? Is that something you want to continue and do a lot of, or are you kind of like, all right, it's fun, but I don't know if it's like one of my main projects?
Well, I discovered that I get really excited about projects and I start them and I take like a bunch of other things and I want to do everything. And I know we kind of
I
talked about
feel,
this
yeah,
because
I'm with you on that. It's a blessing and a curse, right? You just like what, and then you
yes.
realize you only have so much time, and then yeah. So tell me a little about that because I can relate for sure.
Yeah, I like sort of have a YouTube channel. I mean like sometimes post. I sort of
Take a
did the
look at that. Yeah, we
still
have
have a
that here. So
podcast.
you have a solid following. Anyone who has 10K plus on YouTube, that's very solid because it does take consistency, work, and it's a process, right? There's a lot that goes into it: the editing, the equipment, the time, the help. So it's true because yeah, elaborate on that because this is so. I'm really I think this is something to really hit on because it's fun, right? And it's like you're saying, you want to do these projects. I want to do podcasting. I want to do YouTube. All right, I want to play poker. Oh, I want to have a healthy, happy marriage. Oh, I have friends. I have family. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, all right, well, what am I really doing? That's what I hear you saying because I can.
Yes.
How are you at outsourcing? Do you have help? Do you have a team?
No.
Good luck with that? No, you do
No. I
mostly
do
yourself.
everything.
So it's impossible. I mean, I'll just say that. I know that's like literally almost impossible. It's incredible to see that you've done that many podcasts. You have a YouTube channel. You do other stuff because like I have some help, and honestly, I'm realizing a lot of time the answer is just more help because you have a successful. You've made money in poker. You have things, but a lot of times it's really about opportunity cost, right? Like you want to do podcasts, you want to do YouTube content, but you don't have the time. You can't spend 10 hours a day editing a video and do it and all that. So it's like, but it's hard because it's hard to find good people. It's even something I struggle with as well. I'm sorry, I'm just kind of going off a tangent because I feel the same way.
No,
It's
I
like,
love it. I'm just
and
listening. Yeah.
you want to just because you really want to do it all, and you can. You feel like you can, and I feel like I
Yeah.
can. But like then it's just like the hours run out, and then even to find someone, they're not you. You have to like duplicate you because you have all right. Well, you could offload your stuff, but no, I want this in it. I want to edit this way. I want to make sure that So it's very tricky. And so tell me about a little bit. Again, sorry, I'll let you talk because I get it's the Twitch in me. I can't help it. The Twitch streamer. I talk too much, but tell me how that's been and what kind of things have you been learning and what are you looking to do? What are your,
No,
take,
well, first of all,
take me, Kristy.
it feels so good to just hear like that how I'm not alone because this is like a thing, you know. Um, so I yeah, okay, so I'm like a control freak sort of with how I want my content to be. So like I never wanted to like hire somebody even though somebody could probably do it way better than me. I feel like I wanted to know what it was for. And I wasn't entirely sure that I just wanted to make content about just poker. And so I mean, obviously the podcast was like a personal development podcast, sort of like storytelling.
Mhm.
And I think that I would continue to do that if I partnered with someone who could tell me how to make it sustainable, how to get sponsors and do these things so that I can pay
Right,
them. So it's not where I'm just paying for everything and just doing it because it's like fun and good for
right.
my heart, you
Yep.
know?
That's that's honestly though, I think the best, most successful type of content and these type of things are that way. Cause that's how I do it. Like same thing when I started on Twitch, when I started doing YouTube, when I started doing podcasting, I don't come from a place of, oh, how much am I going to get paid? What's going to happen? I just do it. And then I'm like, all right, hopefully it is cool and people like it and it's enjoyable for me as well, that I think it will be, and some good stuff will happen. That's sort of how I go into it. And then the
Yeah.
organization part, and then I kind of try to catch up and just and source that later. But at some point you have to stop, right? You have to like take a breather, look around, say, all right, is this working? Is it not working? How do I sustain this and make it so it makes sense monetizationally, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I have some help with podcasts and stuff. I think I could. Where do you put your podcast out primarily? Are you out on Spotify, iTunes, all that? Do you have that
Just
way?
iTunes. I think it was on a couple of other places, but mostly just iTunes, and then that pushes out to other things. But that's the thing too, is like when you're doing all of these things, and this is the problem also with poker, when all you do is play poker and you don't stop to say what's working, what's not working,
Mm-hmm.
what can I change, how can I not only sustain this, but how can I take it to the next level and grow?
Right.
And when you're just doing too many things, it's just impossible.
It, and as well, because I know you do some work with Raise Your Edge and Andrew, and you guys have had some success, some good tournament success. But it's like that as well, because now we're
Yeah.
talking about, you're talking about having a YouTube channel, a podcast, a marriage, potentially adding a child to
Yeah.
your
This is what all
domain,
you're
which is like,
doing, by the way.
yeah,
And
I mean,
I'm
no, for
just
sure.
like,
It's a balance. This last year was a balance. It's like that's why I kind of feel like I'm ready to sort of get organized, because there's so much just to do and go from there. But it's just like you just really, I think, have to be realistic, and also, like I was saying with studying. Now you're talking about adding studying into that, and that's like like for me, I endorse Raise Your Edge. I love it. I think it's great. There's a ton of other good programs as well. There's a lot of material out there now, but it's like, is it realistic that you can study per day, do the marriage maybe and the kid, have this time to play poker? Like, there's just not enough time. You got to sleep, you got to be rested, you got to have some peace of mind. So yeah, I think it's a fine line. You do one thing super well and focus on that, or do you just sort of accept that you're going to do a lot of things that make you happy and do your best? Because I think it's just unrealistic when you just say, okay, you know what, I want to be the best in every single category, try it all. And it's kind of cool though. You've done a lot of things, so now you can sort of decide. Maybe you have to drop one or
yeah.
two and just say, all right, I'm going to focus on these things. But you've done a lot, right? You've done playing, you've done commentate, or the broadcasting and interviewing, you've done poker, you've done all these things. So what do you love the most? What makes you the most happy? If you were to say, look, 2020, I've done it all essentially in poker. What would you want to focus on if you could choose two things? So from playing, YouTube videos, well, interviewing you kind of did, right? You moved on you've done that and sort of made it clear. But like, say if you had to play or do podcasts, what makes you the most happy and enjoyable, do you think?
Well, first, I love that you're asking this question, because this has been such a huge breakthrough for me in the last few months.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I have to ask myself all the time, like, how do I feel in my body when I do each of these things? Am I like, yes, or I'm like, ugh,
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't really feel like doing that or whatever. Or, what's the thing that's like, I'm like jacked to do the most? And um, it's right now, I am having so much fun playing, and I want to have enough time to play when I want. And it's like, obviously YouTube doesn't make me money, or the
Right.
podcast, and it makes me money. So I'm playing a lot right now, and I'm saving money so that when we do have the baby, we can have more time and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But the other thing that I have finally said yes to is that I've been a writer all my life. I wrote for Card Player, wrote for Poker News, and I love telling stories. Like, the thread that was in the podcast and in doing YouTube was the thing that excited me the most, was drawing out people's stories, was telling people's stories, was telling my own stories. And so what I'm doing now is I'm writing a book, and it's about it's about love and risk.
Mm-hmm.
It's a memoir of Andrew and my story of
Very cool.
how we came to the brink of divorce and used everything that we learned about risk to rebuild. And what I hope is that it inspires action. If I had to boil my life's purpose down to one thing, it would be that like I tell stories that inspire people to take action in their for what they really want. And when I share stories on the podcast or YouTube or Instagram, the thing that always makes me the happiest and reminds me that I'm on the path that I'm supposed to be is when someone says, by the way, I took this risk today, or I asked that girl out, or I interviewed for that
Mhm.
job
Yeah.
because of what you shared, or because I was reminded to risk every day. It's like, oh, that's how I know I'm supposed to what I am supposed to be doing. So I'm just playing. I'm not really updating my YouTube. I'm not really updating the podcast for now. They're going to be there, but I also read the book, The One Thing. Maybe that's something you might want to read
Yeah,
too.
I'm gonna
It
make a
was
note of that.
really
That sounds all right. Without even knowing anything, it just sounds right. Yeah, tell me about what is that exactly?
The One Thing is a New York Times bestseller because we all think that we can do everything.
Mhm.
But it's
I don't know if
a
everyone
great
thinks
book.
that. I feel that way. I know it's apparent you do too, and I don't. I mean, I think it's kind of a like it's cool to be able to feel that way, but I don't know if everyone thinks. I guess
No, 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 no.
that
Not everybody thinks that, but a lot of go-getters think
try
that.
to do. They just they do too much. That's or they're not realistic. Yeah. So I mean that's interesting. I will.
Well, not that they're just not realistic. It's that they are unfocused
Mm,
and not taking the so there's lots of ways to get to a destination.
yeah.
However, in the idea of the book is that in any given moment we can ask ourselves, what is the one step or the one thing that I can do that will make all the other steps either unnecessary or irrelevant?
Mm,
So for me, one of the things that I kind of wanted to do, the podcasts and the YouTube and all these things, the reason I wanted to is to gain a platform to inspire people.
mhm,
And then I asked myself, well, what's the one thing that I do best, or what's the one thing that I could do to make all these other things grow faster or unnecessary? And I think it's writing a book, writing a New York Times bestseller.
mhm.
Like once I write that and it's out, I don't have to tell the story in all these tiny little pieces. I will get a following, and then maybe I can, grow the YouTube or whatever.
That's interesting, and that's sort of along the lines of Bill Perkins. Maybe you may have seen on out there that he's writing that book. I actually read it already. Die with Zero. It's a very
Yeah.
interesting
I
concept, and
pre-ordered it.
yeah, it's awesome. It's a cool thing, but that's sort of to that same sentiment that's Bill's writing a book and he's trying to he wants to get people to see it and share what he's learned or his sort of bigger picture to make you think and think about your life differently. And that's a win for him. Same thing, like he started Twitch, the Thirst Lounge, he was doing on his own. Then he got this team, but it's the same. It's about that's a platform. And why? Because you want to do good. You want to share with people. If you have the right reasons to do what you're trying to share and accomplish, I think that's great. And it's also, not necessarily on YouTube. It's the same thing. Like people ask about that. Oh, how much money do you make on YouTube? How much do you make on money on Twitch? I mean, it's not necessarily directly money or how it's made, because there's, as you know, on YouTube, there's not money really. Even, I mean, you get 1 million, 2 million views and stuff per video. Yeah, sure, could be some decent money, but like it's really not about that. But it's also cool anyway, because like you now have all those videos are forever, right? Like those are it's like a very fancy journal. That's how I look at it.
Yeah.
And even some of mine are highlights, but all these things blend together too. You start talking about Vegas, Bahamas, Monte Carlo, like cool destinations and things, they blend together. Like you tell me Vegas, like what happened in 2017 in summer at the five.
You can just look it up.
I'm just like, yeah, you can. I like, oh, actually, this is what happened. I remember this. Versus like, all right, it's a blur. So there's that too. It's cool. It's kind of fun to have that. It's fun to do podcasts too, because you get to know people. You get to talk to them. You kind of get to a better feeling for how they think, what makes them tick, their journey. It's fun and maybe inspiring or can resonate with someone. But I think that's too with poker. You touch on it about what it's about. You say it's a game of math, reading people, mental toughness, and I'm just quoting you from some stuff, information I've got. But like what you say you love most was that it was a game of skill, not gambling. And there's an element of luck, but luck would never determine your fate. If you kept taking the right calculated risks, you would win in the long run. Basically saying what I learned in life, in love are the saying, you can't win if you don't play. These type of things, it's very powerful. And I think poker is such a great metaphor. I think it's like, truthfully, maybe the greatest game or similarity to life, right? Like you can just apply so many
Totally agree.
things, good, bad, some luck, how you deal with winning, how you deal with losing, it's like golf too. You learn on the golf course, does the guy cheat? How does he etiquette? Is he happy when you win? Like these type of things, you can really apply so many things to poker. And it seems like you really embody the message in the game, and you sort of just like take it all in. And that's great to hear that you're doing a book, and that's awesome. So what do you have a title for it, and when do you expect that to be ready, or are you just sort of doing it, writing it, and then see when it comes out?
Well, I've just finished the book proposal, and there's a bunch of um, tentative titles, but
Mm-hmm. You don't have to,
not
yeah,
sure
no,
yet.
keep it close to the vest.
Yeah, not sure
But
yet.
that's exciting. So I'll definitely make sure to check that out. That is cool. It's fun to see like a real life poker love story that's long, and also, as you said, you guys almost got divorced. I was gonna say, I would think that in these scenarios, it's very tricky too, because like you met Andrew essentially via poker. I mean, indirectly, right? Like about the kind of lore of poker, and you knew he played. You knew him at the time, or no? Had you ever met him, and that was like the first time you ever saw him or talked, or did you know about him?
Yeah, when he came in to celebrate his poker win, it was the first time I ever met him. Yeah.
Okay. But so, I mean, just the fact too, because poker is such a, poker and women, there's not a lot in the game. So the fact that you're like, I mean, McLean and Tatiana met interviewing. She was also poker news and
Yeah.
other stuff, and they met, and now they got married. And, McLean's one of my closest friends, known him for, 2000, I don't know. So it's like 12 years or so. And, we were part of my crew of traveling, but it's funny because they met interviewing. You're interviewing you love poker. You're interviewing players all the time, the best in the world, most exciting cash games, tournaments, and also you're playing some. It's probably it's a little tricky too, right? Just because for that aspect, it also being a man in poker, the opposite too. There's waitresses, there's girls, there's home games, there's all stuff. So it's a very sexy, exciting industry.
Yeah, and we
So I would
lived in Vegas, and it was,
yeah.
yeah.
And so it's like, I would think it's almost like a bit, just to have a woman, a wife or a girlfriend or fiance that's playing poker, you're just like, all right, oh, you're at the table. Oh, there's 9 guys and they're all trying to hit on you and do that. So I would think it's a bit of a tricky thing, as a man. It's like to have a woman that's in poker. It's tough because you just at all times, they're just like being hunted. You know what I'm saying? So it's like kind of a tricky thing too, I think, like mentally for that. You have to have a very confident and be very strong, assurance in your relationship, because it's a bit of it's just present at all times, right? Like that's
Yeah, and it's interesting because, we were kids, 19 and 22, and then 21 and 24 or whatever when we moved to Vegas,
yeah,
where we're trying to figure out who we are and grow up in this city where everybody, like, it's like the city of sin, It was difficult to navigate, and we weren't the best communicators. And so it was like we didn't even think we had problems for a long time because we
right.
just and it didn't mean we didn't love each other. We just didn't know how to deal. And yeah, it was tough, when he was like coming up struggling and I'm interviewing like Phil Ivey or whatever. And, or, when I'm traveling so much and he's like alone, it's just like, it was tough. And looking back, it's like, oh, okay, obviously you reached a breaking point. And I think that in every relationship, you either grow apart or you grow together. And when you don't have the tools, it's really hard to grow together.
Yeah.
So, and we look back now, and I write this in the book, which is so important. It's like we're so grateful for shit hitting the fan because it got our asses to look. I'm sorry. I said shit. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's allowed. You can fire off if you need to. Go on,
Okay.
go for it.
But it had us take a look and move us forward.
Hmm. Well, again, not just to show again, it's a testament to you, testament to Andrew as well, because of what you're saying too. He's very talented, great guy, all these things, but you guys are coming from like the very like the beginning of building a role and doing it together. And then here you are, you guys, oh, I'm 21, I moved to Vegas, and you're traveling the world and you're meeting all the successful and established players and stuff, right? So it's like you see, and there's a lot of that. It's tricky. That's all. So I'll just leave it at that. But that's a testament to both of you that you were able to all stay together and work through everything and all that. So that's great. Who would you say? I'm sure this will be in the question somewhere, but favorite or most exciting interview? Was there any like crazy, just like someone went off the wall and went crazy, or just also interesting celebrities or personalities you've met over the year? I mean, you've probably done so many different types, right? I mean, you've interviewed everyone basically in poker.
Yeah, I have. But honestly, the one that I remember the most, that was the most like, was when I interviewed Tom Dwan. It was like he was gonna announce this challenge that was gonna blow the minds of everybody in poker, and he decided that he wanted to do an exclusive with Card Player, and my boss had given me the exclusive to write the article, and then they flew me to the Bahamas for the PCA for the
What
first
year
time. I
was
was like,
that?
that was, oh man, that was like
Nine or
2000. No, before that, like 2007
oh, because it
maybe.
was Card Player. Yeah, you weren't at Poker News yet. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and it was the first poker trip I'd ever been to, and then, like, I walk up to the beach and Tom Dwan is there, and I've never like interviewed him, and I know everybody's gonna watch this. It's a big deal, and I'm like
Yeah.
in a bathing suit, and I'm like, because he said I won't do the interview unless you come to the beach, and because we're all gonna go jet skiing. So I was like, okay, yeah, Tom DeWan, whatever you want. So like, I walk
Yeah.
up there and I interview him. He tells about the challenge, and it's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Here's the magazine, cool. And
Yeah.
then we're done, and he is like, okay, so now we got to go on the jet skis. So I was like, okay. So at the end of the interview, I'm like waving to the camera, I'm like, bye, and I'm like kind of scared. I've never been on a jet ski before
Yeah.
either. Super
Right.
sheltered.
Uh-huh.
So we're like on, sorry, this is just a quick story actually,
No worries. Yeah.
but we're on the jet skis and we're driving out into the ocean, and I'm just like, what is my life right now? I'm like with one of the best poker players in the world on a jet ski in the Bahamas, and then all of a sudden in the distance I see like he's like waving to people, and I see Phil Galfon and Z and Hack Dang, which they were crushing Rail Heaven at the time.
Right.
And we like say hi. They're like, oh, hey. And we're like all hanging out. We're cool. And he's like, okay, do you want to drive? And I was like, I mean, yeah. I mean, I
Yeah.
can't.
You
It's
gotta
time
do
to
it.
want. Like,
Right.
I can't be like, no, I don't want to drive. I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, I'll
Gotta go
drive,
for it.
obviously.
Yeah.
So, so he hops on the back, and I'm on the front, and I'm like, okay, so all these guys are here. I'm like, I can't be a puss. Like, I gotta
You're gonna
show them what's
play.
up.
Right.
So like I hit the gas and I'm going, but I don't know what I'm doing. And we are kind of like going around a curve, and then there's a
Mhm.
big wave that's coming. And I realize I'm going too fast. I'm like getting scared. But what I don't know is that the brakes are basically like when you let go of the gas.
Okay.
Like when you're supposed to do it slowly,
Hmm.
but we hit the wave, I get scared and I completely let go, and so the jet ski like goes like this and just like goes forward, and then out of the corner of my eye I just see Tom Dwan fly over my shoulder. He's just like,
No.
woo, and he's just like
Wow.
flying in the air over, and I'm like, oh shit.
You're
And
like,
then
I'm fired.
yeah, he
Yeah.
smashes into the ocean, and I'm just thinking like, oh my gosh, I have just killed Tom Dwan. I'm gonna get fired.
Right.
He's not gonna let me put the video up. And I see Z and Hack Dang and Phil Galfon, and they're probably like, he's probably embarrassed now.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen?
Probably
And
got
so
up and
like,
fist pumping. They're excited. Or no.
yeah, they're probably, I mean, I don't even know what they were
Right.
thinking, but I'm just like, I just like go over to him like, oh my God, are you okay? And I can't, he's like turned away from me because I can't see his face.
Yeah.
And he's just like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm so, so sorry. And when he turns around, he's just like laughing hysterically. I was like, oh, he's like, no, it's
Yeah.
fine, it's fine.
That's
But
awesome.
I thought I was gonna get
You
fired.
thought that was it before you started. It was over, but no, it
I
was
thought it
so
was
it was good.
over.
So that I mean, yeah, obviously that's that at that those times, and that's as big as it gets. I mean, that was like the peak of TV, online. Everything was just
Everything.
booming in the industry, and now it's nice because it does seem like it's on the way back. Like it just feels like the numbers are up, the live venues are up, the online party poker's doing cool stuff with no HUDs, aliases. Everyone was like the $20 million guarantees. There's cool stuff happening. The software, everything's sort of improving. It feels good. And I mean, let's talk about Michigan because I'm from Michigan as well. You're Kalamazoo,
Yeah.
correct? Originally Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo.
Kalamazoo. I'm from Ann Arbor, so a couple hours away, but in Michigan just passed, which is huge. I mean, that's just like, it's a great state. Very, Ryan Reese, Cotton won the main event. They're from there. It's a decent state in terms of poker and numbers. And then of course, Pennsylvania passed as well. I believe Stars is operating. I think Party Poker is coming soon. So there's signs of the industry sort of emerging again. And I think Black Friday happened April 15, 2011. That was a big deal. Things sort of felt like the world was ending in terms of the industry, but it sort of rebounded. Sports is legalized at a federal level as well. It kind of goes hand in hand. So what is your thoughts, current state of the industry overall? Like, how do you feel? Because, you're pretty on the inside too. You talk, all the personalities. Sarah Herring, Poker News, still there. She just had a baby, right? Or was having?
Yeah, she has a baby.
Congrats to Sarah. So that, it's like your feel and vibe of everything's very in tune to the media and what's going on. What is your overall thought on the current state of the industry?
I think that you're right in that we are on the verge, I think, of another, I think it's becoming more fun again. Like, I feel like for a while it was not very fun.
Right.
Because when poker was booming, it was all about personalities, it was all about fun.
Yeah.
And I think that the big players, the party pokers and the pros too are talking about this, that we get to be ambassadors for the game and we get to have fun and be nice. And I think that amateur players are realizing that when they go to live events, there are fun things happening, there are cool promotions, and then there's so many ways for people to get in there and have fun. And I just think that I think it's a really interesting time, and I'm really excited for the World Series of Poker this year with a few of the additions to the schedule. I think everybody's catering more towards people who are playing part-time and recreationally.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's moving in the right direction. I think people are putting focus in the right places.
Yes, I agree. And I think, again, that's also part of to the notion that you do these podcasts, you do YouTube content, these type of things. It's like luck is when preparation meets opportunity, along those lines. And you are one of the people that embodies poker, that shows the love, that does a lot of outward focused things for poker. So I think it's like those people that are doing content, that are doing creation, that are giving back and sharing their experience and stuff. I mean, that's what it's about. I think it's shifted a lot, back in the day with the deals with Stars and Party and these other deals were a lot about who's winning the major tournaments, who's the high rollers. Now it seems like it's much more focused on who's streaming Twitch, who's doing podcasts, who's doing YouTube content, and who's engaged in social media, right? Who is open about it. Like you're saying with Andrew, he's sharing when he's on a downswing. You're sharing about experiences. You're talking about it, being very open and honest. You're not trying to sell the dream. I think that's important too, because poker, it's a hard way to make easy living. I love it, and I want to be very careful too. It's like, look, I love poker. It's been what I've done basically my whole life. I've never had another job, and I love it. But you got to understand, the climate's changed than what it was in 04, 05, 06, 03. It's harder. The game has evolved. If you want to study, you want to put in work, you can do it. You can learn, you can win, you can be a profitable player, but not to be like, oh, look, poker is the greatest thing in the world. Try to show off or, sell a dream to people to play, but that's not really what it's about. And that's not what I want to sell or what I think you show. You want to say, look, this is fun. Here's the pluses. I get to travel the world. I meet great friends. I can apply it to life. I know I can win. I can improve. I can control some of my outcome. And that's that, right? But like you show, okay, look, you lose sometimes, or it's like you can't just turn on and be a pro overnight, right? You got to study, you got to learn, you got to put in the time, you got to bankroll management, you got to good game selection, and sort of show the process. So yeah, I think that you're doing that. You, Andrew as well, Johnny having a lot of success, great vlogs and the journey, right? It's cool, it's fun. You're basically portraying what's happening and how it all works. So yeah, I think again, we're in a good spot because of just doing that, what you love and doing it, and then let the other stuff kind of follows. So that's a lot. We've been talking a lot. We got 60 something, almost 70 questions. I want to make sure we get to cover that. Tell me about what your weekly routine is like right now. Do you have a routine? Are you playing mostly cash, live at the bike? You've done some stuff. What else? What's your like your main deal with poker right now? In terms of playing like week by week, would you say like coming up, for example? You
I
you
think
plan? Do you like schedule your like months out, or is it like all right? I'm going to Australia. Like how long in advance did you plan that? Was it like I'm gonna go? Was it last minute, or was it like a year or 6 months out? Like all right, I'm gonna go Aussie Millions.
Oh, it was because of a drunk conversation at Lynn Gilmartin's birthday party, which was November 3rd.
Okay,
So we were just like having drinks, and she's like, "You should come to Aussie Millions." And we were like, "Okay." That was it. So we don't generally plan very far in advance. When we're in town, like when we're in LA, we just play the best nights for poker, which are like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We work out, take the hour or hour and a half drive, depending on what time we leave, to go to Commerce, and we grind. And then if there are, I mean, I guess now, we're gonna look at the schedule because we both a little bit have the tournament bug. So maybe we'll go to another stop. I know the WSOPC is coming to the bike soon, and Andrew and I have both made the main event final table in consecutive years a couple years ago. So we like that stop. So we'll play that, but we
nice.
probably should plan more in advance.
Well, it's cool too because LA they do a lot of those sort of multi-flight
Tons.
day big prize pool tournaments. Obviously, Matt Savage does a really looking out for players doing cool stuff there at the Commerce live at the bike as well. You play, there's cash games. There's some cool stuff in LA,
So
so it's a
much
great
here.
place. It's like it's nice that you don't have to really travel in terms of playing. You guys want to play, you could any day almost. There's like a good game or a tournament going on. What would you say if you could like now that you have the bug a bit? What would you put your mix, the concoction of cash and tournaments? Like what would be your ideal break mix percentages?
Probably 80-20. 80 cash, 20 tournaments. Just sprinkle them in.
That sounds nice. And someone asking in the chat live on the feed here, asking, do you have time to Twitch? Have you ever streamed on Twitch? Does that interest you? Do you have a channel?
I did stream way in the beginning for a little while. I
Okay.
actually won the satellite on stream, and
Okay.
then that was like the last thing I did because I hated it.
Really? Didn't so you did not enjoy Twitch?
I did not enjoy it. First of all, I I I can barely talk and drive at the same time.
Well, that
And
shouldn't really be doing that anyway. But yeah, that's. I mean, I get it. You're saying so. It's like yeah, that's like driving with no hands. It's crazy, right? The experience, the difference between playing regular and switching. It's adding a lot of tables essentially, right?
it's so hard. And not just that, but also I make weird faces when I'm thinking, and I think no one's watching me. Made a lot of weird faces, and also in the beginning, it was a lot of like, "Hey, Christy, like, show me your boobs," and I'm just like,
Mm,
ugh. So I just hated
not
it.
fair enough. That's enough, I think, to yeah, that would not be appealing or so much that you're like dying to get back on there. But you do actually have a channel, so you have a Kristy Arnett Twitch, but you just haven't used
Yeah,
it
it's there somewhere.
somewhere. Okay. That's yeah. It's also not as fun, right? If you're in LA and you're living, because it's like you can't just hop on and play a full like
Yeah,
a great schedule. You're playing on, I guess, either an unregulated site, and California is not even like in Vegas at least. There's WSOP or some
yeah. I was
stuff,
playing
but
on ACR.
yeah. So you don't have ton of great things options, and like you said, you're already busy. You're not really looking to add another major undertaking. You're looking to
Especially
focus
that
on.
one where I was like, this, I want to put a stick in my eye. This sucks.
Yeah. All right. Fair. Hey, listen. I
But
get
I
it.
have so much respect and I love watching other people do it. It wasn't for me.
Yeah, that's totally get it. I mean, there's a lot of good options for platforms, different ways of doing stuff. So it's you
Yeah.
can't
And
not.
actually, I think I would like it a little bit more now because I'm more practiced in speaking out loud what I'm thinking. And also, I think the poker community, Twitch community has changed a little. It's not as like r- rogue because it was way in the beginning when I did it. So I think people are a little bit more respectful. Like I don't think there'd be as many people
Yeah,
being
it's
like,
uh it's different now. I would say it's changed some, but I mean, again, YouTube, you get it too, right? Like YouTube, I would almost say is more
Oh, it's
hard,
worse.
like toxic. I actually feel on my channel that I have fairly good, interaction and stuff, but still, you see some just like when people are not positive, they're like really not positive. It's not like, oh, I didn't agree, or like, yeah, you played that hand bad. It's like, you're the worst. You suck. How could, like, you're a joke. Like, they really, like, the
They
trolls and
go for the
what do they
jugular
call them,
for
the warriors,
sure.
the keyboard warriors come out, and they let you have it. So, I've even seen some really high profile, great players, streamers, Twitch, that do highlight videos that have like commented like, look, I'm almost, oh, I was just going to try to pull up something for you. But they're just like, I don't even want to do YouTube. They're like, this is like, it's like so toxic that I don't even want to, I don't even want to be involved, So it's interesting. It's different. And you have to deal with that. That's part of it, right? If you put out content and you put yourself out there and be vulnerable, it's like people are you have to sort of expect to get crushed a bit. And that's okay. It's just kind of surprising how nasty people can really be, but that's okay.
Yeah.
It is what it is. It shows you, like, usually those are the people that have a lot of issues themselves, or you have to worry, like, if someone's like brave enough not brave enough just to like attack or say negative things, like, it's just, you almost feel bad, right? You can't take it personal.
Yeah, yeah, but I also think like if you have a big enough reason why you're putting the content out, like whether it's because, Jeff, like for you, you're like you're doing this, you have a family now, as long as you have like a big reason, it's much easier to handle the haters, I think. If you're just like doing it for whatever reason, it's like, why am I putting myself through this, you know?
Yeah, for sure. It is what it is. It's just all part of it. So, well, Kristy, this is again, this is a lot of questions, and I love to give. I'm impressed by the questions, actually, and we do have a giveaway, a $55 ticket from Party Poker as well. If you guys want to interact, you will be eligible by asking a question and following the instructions. Is there anything else before we dive into this batch of questions? Is there anything else you want to talk about? Goals? Are you a big New Year sit down, map it out, and make some big resolutions and goals, or are you more just sort of go with the flow?
Before I used to be a goal setter, like a results goal setter, but this year I am focused on habits, like small habits, and who I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So, like my big goals are like to, meditate every day and learn how to be present, be patient, all of these being goals, and then
Right.
let the results fall where they may.
I like it. Yeah, I find going back and forth as well on that. Like, I want to sit down. I've done years where I'll write down and be like, all right, I want to do this many things. I think it's also important to be realistic with the goals, like especially in
Yeah.
tournaments. If you're like, I want to make this much money, or you have to like do stuff that you can control. Like, all right, I want to play this many tournaments, or I want to stream this many times. If you start trying to hit like, I want this many, viewers or this many results, like it doesn't really work like that. And I think you have to be careful when you're doing goals, or what you're really, what the meaning of why you're doing those goals are. So I like how you're saying that too, to sort of come from that approach, which I think is more controllable and also tranquil, right? It's less like of a stressful,
Yes.
like trying to, oh, I have to do this, because then in the back of your mind you may even like play differently or do something that's not what you really should be doing to try to reach something that's out of your control. So yeah, I like what you said there. All right, we are going to. Oh, and so you did. So Dur was that was your favorite, maybe, or most meaningful or situation,
Memorable
the
for
big
sure.
memorable interview. I want to click over here too. I know this was fun because of PCA also. This
Yes.
was fun back in the day.
Okay,
With
first, can I say too?
yeah,
So obviously, I'm like pooping my pants because I'm about to interview Michael Phelps.
yeah,
After this was like right after he had just become like the most decorated Olympian of all time,
yeah.
and I woke up to you and I'm like, "Hey Jeff," like or whatever, and I'm like, I introduced myself to Michael Phelps, and he goes, "Yeah, I know who you are," and I was like,
He gave you, yeah. Like, yeah, exactly. That's the thing that's funny though, because like you're thinking about it, it's like that from the domain space where it's they know you
It's
because like
niche.
that's what I'm saying.
It's
You're the
small.
face. Like he loves poker, so it's like of course, yeah, he's seen you probably 1,000 times, and then but you're not really thinking like that, right? Because it's just like, all right, do your job, you enjoy it, you put it out there, and you're just like, but it's like really, you are. That's what I'm saying. When I think of poker news, I think of Kristy Arnett, right? That's like you were there for like so many years, and the folk like the interviewer for so many years. But it's funny like that, right? Like because you don't,
Yeah.
it doesn't like it's a weird twitch. So just switched it flicks. Yeah, but this was it's just funny because I remember this was like this was a fun time. So what other professional superstars of their field like have you done? You've been, I mean, because I know the common ones like Kevin Hart, Paul Pierce are always sort of present. Like at the PCA, there's what's his name, Tony Hawk, and they kind of Sergio Garcia. Are there any other sort of like legendary sports stars that maybe that maybe people don't know play poker or that you got to meet that were kind of cool?
Oh, that not sure.
Because those are like the ones I feel like everyone knows. They're like always they're just like people know they love poker. Was there anyone that you were somewhere like remote or some like a one-off that maybe that I don't even know of or I wouldn't have thought of?
Oh man, I don't. There's not any that I can think of, but
But you've interviewed I mean, you've done so many like actors. There's a lot of actors too that play.
yeah. I mean, like Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. You know, they were at a charity event I was at once. But oh man, no, it's a tough one.
Yeah, but you gotten. I mean, did interviewing get easier for you? Like, was it something that was you were nervous right away, just naturally because that's like new, and then all of a sudden it was just like, just next thing? Was there anything different that was like?
Actually, it was always, I was always really nervous. I actually struggled with social anxiety for a long time through
Really?
my
Oh,
early 20s. And it wasn't until I understood where that came from and really worked on it. And like, so it wasn't the interviewing I was actually working on, it was like working on my social anxiety. And so, no, it was always hard until I kind of like tackled that part head on.
yeah, it's a. It's one of those things, like you said. It's not. I think people assume that just gets easier. It's like it's just always whatever, but it is still like you're in front because it's either like Twitch too and YouTube. It's nice because you can edit, right? But like an
Yeah.
interview, I guess they can kind of edit, but sometimes you're live or you still like it happens and it's with a person, so you want to do your best and you want to be professional, right? It's like you kind of feel a little pressure to like do a good job or do your best, and you don't want to be doing 10 takes, right? Forever, especially when someone that
Yeah.
is like that's
Oh,
like
for
or
sure.
you're on a break. It's like kind of pressure because there's not you maybe get one take or two takes. You can't just like take someone's they got to go back and play and then have you ever was there anyone that was ever like a memorable interview that was just like it just didn't go like the tough spot where maybe someone busted or it was just like they weren't having it that day? You don't have to say a name per se, but like was there ever one that just you were like or you're like I can't do this? I think I've talked to someone. Lingale Martin, I think, told me there's someone where she was basically like, I'm not doing this interview. Like, I can't do it right now because I know them and they're like going to be too tilted, or I'm not asking that. Have you ever had any kind of like awkward like situation where you just knew it wasn't going to go well or you couldn't do it?
Um, well, the so I had this great idea for a video at Card Player, which was that we were gonna prank pro poker players,
Yeah.
and I sat down Mike Watson,
Sir
and he
Watts, of
just
course.
won like a WPT. He was a crusher, and I decided that I was just gonna be like, pretty much, we were gonna do a strategy interview, and everything that he said was gonna be like the dumbest thing I ever heard.
Okay.
And oh my God, it's still so hard to talk about because it was so awful. Because so I did he so I we're talking about the strategy of changing gears, why changing gears in poker is good. So I asked him, first of all, what's changing gears? And he gives some brilliant answer. And I'm just like, actually, can we stop for a second? And I was just like, that was bad. Can we do that again? And then he gave a brilliant answer again. And then, dude,
You were like
I
punks. You were punking him.
I was
Basically,
punking him.
and he just, and it didn't go as planned, or he like, it was like just too awkward. It almost worked too well, maybe.
here's the thing. Okay, first of all, also Vivek Rajkumar set him up. He was like, "Let's do Mike Watson," and I was like, "Yeah, okay." So Vivek's in the room, and Mike was, here's you don't want to punk the sweetest people ever. You want to punk somebody who is like a little bit deserves it. You
Right.
know what
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
someone who can dish it out too.
Right.
But like Mike Watson is possibly the nicest
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I
Isn't he
actually,
Canadian?
it's funny. His, I guess, fiance now, or Sarah and my wife are like super tight. You know, it stops. They hang out all the time. I like Mike a lot. He's not one of my, like, I don't hang out with him all the time, but we spend time together. Like you're saying, the nicest guy, right? And it's like I know him, and I'm just thinking about this in my head. I'm like, yeah, I can't think of like someone. This is like, because it's got to be. I'm just trying to see how this would go, and I could see how it could go. Like, could really be awkward, right? Like, just like 'cause he's so
Oh,
nice and like he wants to do well, and he's trying to be. And he also isn't like a big. He doesn't love. He's not like always on the camera and stuff. He's very quiet, reserved. He's one of the best players in the game. But I'm just thinking in my head, like, so what was the end result?
he's like, I gotta take a break, and he like walks away, and he's like, I'm sorry, I just need to take a break, and he's so nice, and then
Yeah.
he's like taking a break, and we're like, just joking, and he's like, ah.
But so
So it was just
did you do it for other people? Like, did this go? Did you do other ones then too, or was this like, all right, this is it?
yeah, we
Like,
did Gus Hansen. So I learned obviously that you don't like kick a bunny, like he's just so nice, and he was like, okay, it's like whatever. I mean, like, I still, whenever I think about it, I still like hate myself a little. But then we did Gus Hansen. I can't even remember what we did to Gus Hansen, but it
right.
was funny because Gus is Gus. He's like,
Yeah, yeah.
he's gonna like make fun of me back.
Right, exactly. Like he's more of a, yeah, I could see more of a where it would be, and just like the interaction. But yeah, like I said, that's very interesting. Yeah, I don't think I ever saw that. Did it air? I'm gonna have to check that
Oh
out.
yeah.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, please don't. It's
Don't
it's
look
it's
at it.
actually it's actually I mean, it was so long ago. It's buried somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe fair enough. I won't
You
go
don't
dig.
want to watch it.
It's one of those things. It's just one of those pieces. Okay, fair enough. All right, well, let's dive in because again, guys, we have a $55 ticket. We have a lot of questions, so we'll try to zoom through some of
Yeah,
these.
I'll go fast.
Yeah, we'll
Sorry.
do some speed rounds on some of these, and we'll skip some, but we'll look through here. Here we go. So, what would you say to parents that are concerned about their son wasting their life? That's a strong word, but I guess that's what they're asking. The message, if a parent's saying, "Don't play poker. You're gonna throw away your life and gamble with this and that," what would be what would you say to those parents to say that?
Well, you're kind of right. It comes like a loaded question because whenever you have something that's important like this and there's a disagreement, the first thing you need to do is get on the same page about something. So first of all, there's like the parent thinks wasting life, son thinks, or daughter or whatever thinks they're living their dream or going
Right.
for it. So, um, you know, I would just say they're an adult and you got to have their back. I mean, I don't know, this is a tough one, but I would just say first get on the same page, and even a parent son or daughter relationship also needs to be a win-win. How can we have a conversation about how the son or daughter is going to live a life that is meaningful to them, and how can the parent get on the same page?
I love it. Also, I'll hit on the 2 points you said earlier. Get on TV and take them to dinner, and then take
That
them
too.
out. Show them that it's viable and there's
Yeah.
some perks to it. So that's the other answer. She did mention that earlier. What is the best thing you can rescue from your experience as a professional poker player? What's the best thing about being a poker player?
The best thing is that every day, other than when you schedule an interview with Jeff Gross, every day I'm like, I can do whatever I want to do
You
at
got
any time.
open canvas at all times, right? Yeah. What day of the week is it? I bet you don't know. It's like
I never know.
yeah, especially you just came from Australia, so it's even more confusing. But exactly that's like legitimately, I think the funniest part and the best part is like that. If you can get to a point where your schedule is your schedule, I think that's like when you start talking about someone even just put on the screen here. Let me see. Question here from Jack. How much does she make? Your very personal question. I've people ask me that stuff too. not saying to answer it, but the point is, whatever that number is, or in your case, in my case, we don't know exactly because there is variance and there is some playing involved, not just doing other things. But that number, you could add a zero to it, or say you could make a lot more doing some kind of banking or surgeon or whatever, and that's great. But like for me, I think, humbly saying, that the greatest thing you can do, I think, is to be your own boss and have your own schedule. And that is, there's no question. And I think you would say the same sentiment, like you're saying, that to have your own schedule is priceless, right? Like you just went to Australia on a wing over a drink. You might go play today. You might do it. You could fire up a podcast today. You could go on the beach. You could take off the next month. You could play the next month. But that's literally, you're just living in your own best self. You're living your best life, Kristy.
Best
right?
life.
And that's the best. There you go. That's what's going on with poker. So I hear what you're saying on that. So what do you like about poker? That's another question. We'll say the same. Do you speak Spanish? I think we got some Spanish in here.
I do not.
Okay.
Hola. That's all I know.
Hola, hello. ¿Cuáles son tus cartas favorites? So don't know what that means. Something about your favorite. Have you ever been to Belgrade?
Mm-mm.
No. Do you have a special routine before a big tournament? Give me a look. You're playing the 1K 6 Max tournament. You just final table in Australia. Does your day-to-day change as you get deeper? Is every day the same? Is every day different?
What I'm trying to do is have a morning routine that is always the same, that sets me up for the best day I can have, which is I wake up, I stretch a little, I journal, have coffee, and meditate. So it goes in different orders. Sometimes it doesn't get done, but for the most part, every day I do that, and it helps me get focused. It has trained my brain to stay present. And one of the biggest things, especially for poker, is that you need to be able to make sound decisions under a lot of pressure. And what I hear a lot, and what I have struggled with before, is like, how come I knew what I was supposed to do and I didn't do it? Like, do you ever play and something comes up and you're like, I should fold, and then somehow your like hand is pushing in chips? That is a thing sometimes. And when I get grounded in the morning, and I have trained my brain how to be present, that happens so much less often. Like way less. So starting my day in those routines are non-negotiables.
Yeah, I think it's realizing too at this level, and you work with Raise Your Edge, I know you do, and you talk about and understanding the mental side of the game, and too, it's so important, just like anything, sports, even doing your interviewing, whatever, right? When you're in a clear mindset, when you're focused, when you're relaxed, when you're on target, on point, it just, things go well, right? Like even in a tournament, like if someone's talking to me, or like I'm running, bouncing around, I'm on my phone. It's like, you're in a hand in the spot where like you just like kind of black out, or your mind's wandering, or you don't play your best. And one little thing can affect your whole trajectory of what you're doing. Or in a cash session, if you miss value on one hand, or you make a bad call in a spot where you maybe would be able to, it just changes. So yeah, I think that's important to be in that routine and have your best practices at all times. And it's easier said than done, but I think that's like at that level, you start realizing that's like the next thing to do, right?
But and like the thing to realize is it just makes you money.
Yes, that's exactly right. Where do you live at the moment? Are you guys, you're parked, or are you bouncing around?
Parked in LA.
LA,
and
nice.
I love it.
Nice place to be. What are some of your favorite poker moments? Give us one.
One is I was getting coaching from Andrew Beluga Whale Sideman, and we were doing this video series on Deuces Cracked, and it was the first time someone had pulled me aside and were like, let's make videos, strategy videos. You're going to get coaching. You're a player. And I started to feel like a real player. I was still working at Poker News, but I was like, I'm a poker player. So, I mean, I felt that way before, but not as like this level where I deserved coaching, and I was playing online, playing on Full Tilt and Poker Stars and all this stuff. So I had just done the coaching, and I was like playing the mini F-tops. And it was cool because this was like in my range of buy-ins, mini F-tops, big fields, big prizes. And I played the $55 heads up tournament.
Okay.
And I was in the semifinals, and I got all in with King 8 versus King 10 on a King 10-8 board.
Mm.
And Johnny Vibes, who is, my brother-in-law, we talked about him. He was standing behind me, watching me, and we just like, man, I was like, it's a good run. We like look at each other and we're like, I mean, this is it, It's like,
Yeah.
this is it. This is
No
how
one
it goes
ever hits
down.
an 8. Right.
And then on the river, I hit an 8, and we were like, yeah! We were both jumping up and down. And then like Andrew calls me because Andrew, we just love each other so much. It's like really intense. So he like wanted to like not be in the room because it's just like he
Yeah.
didn't want to bring his nervous energy, and we're all just like, ah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh wow. Yeah, yeah. So
yes.
that is special. Those kind of ones that it's nice. That's very cool. And so you ended up going to the final, or
Yeah,
you
so
were
we
in
ended up
some?
going to the final, but this is the topper. This is my favorite.
Okay.
We got there, and then
Yep.
we go heads up, and we're like typing in the chat. We're like, "Do you want to chop and stuff?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I'll chop if you give me like 20% more or whatever." And I was like, "No, I mean,
Yeah. No,
we
we're
were
running it.
gonna chop it evenly, or we're not." And
Right.
he was like, "No, I'm better." And I was like, "Okay, then let's play, bro."
Go for
And
it. Yeah.
then we start playing, and then um, I see later that like people are all in the chat, and he's like, "Who is this?" Because people knew, my screen name and who I was, and I crushed him, and it felt so good
Yeah,
to say
there's
no to the
nothing
deal.
better than a deal negotiation and then winning, but especially when the other person's being unreasonable or cocky or whatever. Those are for sure the greatest. So that's yeah, get him. So that's nice. That's beautiful. All right, cheapest place to stay in Vegas. What's like a deal in Vegas or spots that are like good to go stay if you're like coming to
Just
play?
use the app Hotel Tonight, and whatever's cheapest on that app. It's
That app
really good.
done. Fair enough. This is the question live right now. I see Jimmy Baker asking, what career would she do if you couldn't play poker? What would you be in? Say out of the industry of poker, even.
An entertainer, storyteller. I don't know what that means, but I would be doing things that are performing, probably.
Very nice. So that could be. Is there any specific genre or just like you don't know, just something in that? Like, what would be anything come to mind?
I mean, I've done stand up a couple times. I love it. I've done
Oh wow, cool.
storytelling, like where you get up on stage and tell stories, or
Mhm.
and that's kind of what I'm pursuing right now. I'm writing, and I want to speak publicly, and so it's all kind of along the same lines. But if it wasn't poker at all, or I wasn't writing this book, I would probably like, I don't know. I would probably be here in LA doing something like that.
How is the book experience going in terms of amount of time that's going? Like, is it what you would say is were you like when you said I want to write a book? Because I'm actually debating on some of that and looked into a bit because it sounds like very cool and fun and it is, I'm sure. But how has that been so far in terms of workload and just because it's hard to put everything down on paper. And then when you start like, oh, I want to talk about this, and you start writing it, I just feel like it's a little bit hard, because it's like it takes a lot of time and you're maybe not the best writer, right? Like not saying you are or aren't, but you can talk, but then like to actually write well, or do you have to have help? So how has that process been? Has it been easier, harder than you thought it would be, or just love
It's
it?
horrible.
Horrible. Okay, that would
It's horrible. It's not hard, or it's not easy or fun.
right.
It's so hard. But I still love it. I mean, I still love it, sort of. It's just like I love what I'm doing, but at the same time, it's like it's just the hardest thing ever. It's hard to sit down and stay focused, and especially it depends on the topic that you're talking about. Of course, if it's like you're like, I don't know what the topic of your book is, but if it's about something you're an expert in and you're just wanting to share it,
Right.
then maybe that's going to be different and easier, and someone can also help you. Like you can just speak and someone can help you put the thoughts on paper, and I think that would be an incredible book.
Right.
But for me, I'm writing every single word, and it's about something that's very emotional also, so it's
Mhm.
really hard, and I've had to stop and start over, and it's difficult, but
Okay, fair enough. That's honest, very honest. And I think that's what I was expecting because I got a little taste of doing like a sample writing and someone had an idea for a book to do. And it like, I like it, to your point, it wasn't something I would even consider myself an expert on and what I'm like so passionate about. And it was just like very hard for me because I just kind of like, I don't know. And I was like feeling it didn't really like wasn't meshing right. Because I would like to do a book at some point. I don't know exactly what, but I like it's more like what you're doing. You're saying about you're telling your basically your story like of poker and with your husband. I mean, that's like so it's like from your heart, passion. Like there's no one's gonna tell you, oh, that's not right or like whatever. It's just like no, this is how I feel and this is what it is, and that's it. And like you can make some adjustment on the wording maybe or some of the stuff, but the idea and the foundation is from your heart, and that I think that's fun, right? Like no matter what, that's like a project, even if it's hard, it's still like you're doing it right. It's not like all right, like I'm not sure. So very cool, and I can't wait to check that out. I will definitely read that and check that out. Let's take some more here. Favorite Pokemon choose place in Vegas. Heads up versus Jeff on stream. She doesn't stream. She's not a Twitch streamer. Challenges resolutions in 2020. Touched on this a bit, but give me one in 2020. Just something that you want to say. All right, you know what? I'm ready to do this thing differently or new. 2020. Anything?
Make a human. That's what I'm trying to do.
Hello, that's a
just
big
make
one.
a human. No big deal.
You got your girl Sarah popping one out. I mean, already congrats to Sarah. That's you got to have them grow. You don't want it too far apart from your best friends, right?
I know, right?
Yeah, that's exciting. So okay,
well, win a tournament and write the book.
Book, human, tournament win. Okay, got it. Those are three nice ones. What is the moment you realized that you belonged among those that call poker a career and not just a hobby? When did you say, I can do this, I'm going to do this?
That's interesting. There's not really ever just a random time or moment for me. But what I tell people all the time is that if you're not keeping track of your results, then you're not taking the game seriously. So it was just a long time coming where I knew I could estimate about how much money I make an hour and how feasible it would be for me to be a professional or not have another job. So not really a specific time.
Okay. Yeah, that's important. If nothing stands out, not to just say something that I like. Kristy's honest. Same thing with Twitch. He's like, I'd rather stick a pencil in my eye than stream on Twitch, which is brutally honest, and that's cool because I think a lot of people who think maybe they want to do it or try it don't love it either, right? It's not for everyone, and then there's challenges with that and reasons why. Like there's I get it. Opinion about Jeff Gross, our host.
Oh my gosh. I love Jeff. I was just like in Aussie Millions with Lynn and we're sitting on the couch and we were both just talking about how much we love you, how hard you work. Like we were just like, what are all the things that he's doing? It's crazy. And I don't know, you're just such a stand-up guy. And I think that, when we talk about how poker is evolving, you are on the forefront of the reason why it's becoming more fun. It's becoming more engaging for recreational players all over the country. If they're not in like one of the big cities like Vegas or LA, they can really be in it because of the content that people like you create.
Well, yeah, you as well. I appreciate it. Very kind words. Thank you. And I would say the same for you as well. And I think you do a great job with the content, which is great. It's fun and it's enjoyable. And I think people really can relate, and the fact that you're honest as well, like that, and you're showing the negative, like Andrew as well. And you say he's going through a downswing. They talk about it because it's not all fun. It's not always just like so great, right? Like there is negative stuff that or times of feelings and emotion. That's part of it all. So well, thank you for the compliment, and back at you as well. We see Altair saying, I love you, honey. What is your key to success? Give us a secret in what has made you be able to accomplish what you've done so far. What's a key to your success?
I have made it a big commitment to use whatever I am doing to become a better person, and poker has given me the biggest opportunity to constantly work on who I am. How do I treat people when things aren't going right? Am I resilient in the face of defeat? Who am I when I'm winning? Do I make that like about my worth and who I am? It's like,
right.
So no matter what happens, whether I win or I lose, I'm becoming better. And I think that anybody who is constantly trying to be a better parent or poker player or better at their job, they will be successful. I mean, it's just like in poker when you constantly make the right decisions and put the odds in your favor, even if in the short term you don't get the promotion or whatever, if you keep doing that and keep improving and keep becoming a better person, you will be successful for
Right.
sure.
Very cool. I like that. Can you picture yourself being a pro for the rest of your life, or do you have other plans? Is poker, is that your main gig for a long time? And I guess having a
No.
child would
I
change
want to
things a
be
lot, but yeah.
No, no, no. My goal is to be the whale. I want to I want to crush something else so big that I'm just like I'm
That's
the
awesome.
whale. Like I come around and they make the 10th seat for me. They're like, "Come on in." I'm like,
Make the
"Hey."
attention for me. That's
You
the
know?
dream. That is so funny. One of my best friends, Gary, he was a featured on a vlog. He came to Vegas for the summer. He used to play like $1, $2, kind of, come to some money, was playing 300, 600, had like the craziest Vegas trip of all time, whatever, right? But the point is, that's exactly what his dream is. He said, "No, I want to be a whale. I want to be in exactly
Yeah.
that. I want to have fun, have drinks, sit around. Like, first of all, being a whale is a little different too, because you know how to play and you're a success. So like you'll never really truly be a whale. But if like, yeah, Kristy Arnett owns a magazine, writes a best-selling author, makes hundreds of millions, and then you go into Vegas and sit in Bobby's room and he's buying for 200K, and you just don't really care
Flashing
what happens.
around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not folding the flush draw and you're having a good time.
Yeah.
That's
Never pulled a
yeah,
flush draw.
that's the dream. I love that. That's very cool. So hopefully, Whale Arnett in the next decade, that'd be awesome. So that's great. I like that. Favorite drink?
Coffee, alcohol, beer.
Beer and coffee. I love coffee as well. How many coffees have you had today?
Just one. I'm
One.
trying to cut back
What's
to at
your what?
least just one.
What's the
Because
most
I'm trying
coffee?
to have a baby. It's like a thing, apparently.
Oh, interesting. That's true. I knew that. I've been a while since the process, but that's right. My wife doesn't drink much coffee. She gets very, very hot. It hits her
Like,
very hard. So, yeah. She's what's the most coffees you've had in a day? Like, have you ever had five, or like, are you like a two or
oh,
three?
yeah. Oh, when I would travel on the road and get jet lagged, me and Sarah and Donnie Peters would crush the espressos, just like way too many. I don't know, like six or
Italian
seven.
version, right? Just every 2 hours, like you just rip a shot of
Yeah.
espresso. That's
Yep.
cool. Love Donnie. Also part of our USA team, World Cup soccer team championship. Donnie's a great soccer player as well.
Yes.
And
And
Kristy,
human.
we saw some questions about sports. Kristy is a fantastic player, and you played in college
Yep.
at
I did.
in Indiana.
In Fort Wayne, Indiana.
Yes.
Yeah, we were somehow a Division I school and terrible.
Well, but doesn't matter. You played D1. That's pretty cool.
Yep.
Very nice. In your opinion, what makes a professional good in his field, skill or talent? Well, I don't know necessarily. Let's assume that we're saying skill. What skills make someone, you think, stand out over the years? What have you noticed? Maybe players that have been on great runs, or players you've interviewed. Maybe you've dove in a bit on what they do or how they do. Is there any word or thing that stands out? If it's bankroll management or discipline or studying, what is like something that you feel is synonymous with a great player?
Great player is that they are focused and pretty much have nothing else in their life, because if your only focus is poker, I mean that's I mean especially these days. Like way back in the day, some of the best players were like field players and experienced players, and they had years of experience, but not anymore. Now it's just like if you have a singular focus, you can be the best.
I like that. It's true. Favorite live venue to play at?
I mean, Commerce, I'm always there. It's got the most cash games, so that's my favorite place to play. And now tournaments, Austin Millions. I just want to go there every year.
They have great coffee as well. They're known
Oh,
for their
the
shop. They're just
best
cool, right? It's
coffee.
weird. It's so weird to say that because you think like, oh, New York or Miami or LA. How could like a city be known for their shops and their coffee? But it's I guess it's more like the breakfast, right? It's like the breakfast, the vibe, just like the I don't know how to describe it. Could you elaborate what makes the coffee so good there? And it's more the experience, I guess, too. But what specifically? Because I hear
I
that
think
like everywhere. People say it's the best, and I would agree. I'm trying to place it. Why though?
the espresso is always top notch, but the milk, they use the best almond milk, the best oat milk, the best
Mm,
whole milk, whatever it is.
yeah.
It's so much better than ours.
Interesting. Okay, that's a good reason why I'm trying to place it too. Um, what's your favorite way to relax after a long poker day? You play a session, you come home. What do you do to just sort of unwind? Because it's hard, right? You play or online or live, and then it's like everything's going through your mind. You're thinking about whether you won or lost. Like, oh, I could have done this differently, or why did I do that? Or man, that was so obvious after the fact. How do you just decompress?
It's funny because Andrew and I usually go play together, and he decompresses by unloading every hand he played in the session on me. So he just like talks the whole way. And mine is like, I just want to be quiet and sit
Mm,
and not say anything,
okay.
and just like let it blah, go away.
Right.
But usually, what helps is we'll sit and have dinner and watch some like YouTube or Netflix.
Any good Netflix stuff you got going on? Any shows you love or
Oh my God, we just
new?
watched Don't F with Cats. And
Hmm.
it was so disturbing. I thought it was going to be something fun about cats, and it was
Hmm.
like about a psychopath, and it was awful.
Wow. Uh-oh. So okay, there's the other way. Not stay away from that. That's almost more valuable.
No, it's kind of amazing. I mean, we had to
Oh,
watch the whole thing, but it's
it was
also
intense.
very
I
disturbing.
just
So if
saw
you're ready
Uncut
for that,
Gems.
then watch it.
I just saw Uncut Gems yesterday with Adam Sandler. It's got a little poker, like kind of gambling vibe to it. I don't know if you've seen it or heard about it.
No,
It's
but
really
that's
cool,
on the
actually.
list now.
I thought it
That'll
was
be the next thing.
I heard he put on a great performance. It's pretty cool. Like I have a feeling you'll love it just because it's like it's got like the sports, the vibe. There's like diamonds and they do a good intro. It was actually really good. I would highly recommend it. It's cool. Uncut Gems.
Okay, definitely. That's on the
You'll it's
list.
worth going to the theater for. So yeah, I'll give you that. What was your someone just said hi. I wanted to tell you that you are really beautiful. Suppose you are my girlfriend and we were playing a tournament and each we reach a hand at the end at the final table. Will you let me win or do you play me till the death? So I guess this is a way of just
To the
asking
death.
to the death, right?
What?
Yeah. Has that happened with you and Andrew? Have you been at a
Yeah,
table
we've
ever and played?
we just at the Aussie Millions, we were placed at the final table, or not a final table, a table in the same tournament, and we just play and try to beat each other.
I I
I took
will
him out of the satellite like before that. It's just the only way
right,
to be in integrity, and also, why would we? I don't
right.
know. Let each other win.
I agree completely. Now let me ask you this though, because this is tricky because I agree with that, and I think you should do that, of course. But I feel like subconsciously, or just at some level, because there was that whole, Kristen Bicknell, who's obviously she's one of the best players in the world now, top 10 GPI, best female player of the year. Her and Alex Foxen, number one player in the world, GPI ranked wise, just won the Bellagio 10K. They actually battled that. There was kind of crazy story. I'm sure you remember a couple
Yeah.
years ago at the Venetian, they got down to 3. Cal Burns also raising a lot of money for Australia, doing some cool stuff. And I just was chatting more with him too. I mean, that was a wild scenario, right? Because it was on camera. It was 3-handed. I think they had like aces to jacks, sub like 25 blinds, and it didn't get all in on like a jack high flop. These kind of things. And it's tricky because it's like, all right, at the end of the day, like, listen, if you know the 3-bet hands and situation stacks, let's say you play great, like you don't have to go for every spot all the time. I mean, listen, when I play in a tournament, there's times where I get it dealt ace-4 suited and there's an open and I don't 3-bet a guy, and some guys I do, or some people I flat. So like I'm playing differently against people in different spots, or even just how I'm feeling or what's my, so there is a lot of room for
Yeah.
interpretation and sort of so it's like, all right, you get dealt 7-8 suited and maybe you would 3-bet this guy, but Andrew opens, are you just going to be like, all right, I'm going for it. And you're probably not going out of your way to like make him be difficult. Now, of course, there's also a difference where if you have kings and he raises you, you're never going to fold or just call or like try to like, bat signal him. That's like very different though. Right. But it's like,
Yeah.
so I don't know. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but it's sort of a weird deal. And it's why they separate brothers, Doyle and Todd. I think the World Series has rules, even if you're related, married, or like brother, they separate you at tables when you can. Obviously, at a final table, there's nowhere to separate. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting little thing because it's sort of like a weird conundrum, right? Because it's not necessarily you play to the death, you check raise your grandma, or do you just sort of stay away? I don't know. It sounds like you guys lean more towards going for it, but you see what I'm saying, right? And it's not necessarily right or wrong, but like I don't I going out of your way to like punish him, but you want to win. You're gonna like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, we're all, and it's tough too because we know each other's games too. So even if we're not even like doing the subconscious thing, it's like I know that from this position, like he's going to be doing these things against these kind of players. It is tough, and I don't really know what a better solution would be. But it's just, I mean, at least for us, and we've been together 15 years and travel everywhere. It's just like it's not ever that huge of a deal. And I guess when it's like someone like Kristen Bicknell and Alex Foxen who play smaller field tournaments and all the same ones, it's going to happen a little bit more often. And I think they did exactly what they should have done, which is offer a deal. And when he said no, then it's like,
sort of
I don't
like
know.
Disclaimer
It's
to
going
the
to be
whole
awkward.
argument where you could just like, you can't really even fault them if you wanted to, because they basically said, look, like, here's the deal. We're together. You're three-handed. And that's just like part of nature where we're going to like, it's just like one of those things. So I think he's crazy not to take it. I mean, it shows you how confident he is in his game. He's almost like, I don't even care if you are doing whatever, I'm going to go for it. But either way, so I'm just referencing that because it's a bizarre and not normal circumstances, but it does happen. And it's just sort of like it's just one of those things. So I think you answered very well. It does show you guys have knocked each other out. You go for it. I mean, again, Kristen, I'm not even implying or inferring they did something wrong or anything. It's just like that was one of those things. I see them, they do battle and they do knock each other out. It happens. Like, anyway, so I get it. You answered it well. So you're going to win. If you guys are heads up too, it's like, that's it. You guys are playing for it. You're not like, oh, he's my husband, I'm gonna let him win. Or, you even said Andrew wants you to win in general. Like he always rooting for you. But if it come down to heads up, like you guys would battle for it. You're going to go for the trophy.
Definitely.
Okay. Favorite poker tournament of the year?
Tournament. Oh, honestly, I love the ladies event. And because, the main event is obviously amazing and so fun, but it's also so stressful. And it's just really stressful. But the ladies event is just so fun.
Yeah, that's cool. You've done well. I've seen, actually, let's pull up quickly. We normally talk about, I mean, you're primarily a cash game player, also haven't played even that many tournaments or whatever, but you have a nice 55K score here. You got fifth in a circuit event, which is that's, again, if you're playing cash, man, David Pham, that guy can do it, huh? He's still around. It's crazy. He's still winning tournaments and
old school.
I remember him from Full Tilt every tournament on Full Tilt. That's hilarious. So you got fifth in that. What was that like? Because I mean, that's like, again, in tournaments it's different because it's to hit like a 55K bankroll boost out of nowhere. You're probably satelliting in sometimes or doing different things, or you're playing some cash and then you sort of parlay it. Because did that change your overall bankroll and strategy and like move up stakes, or was it just like, all right, that's nice, but I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing? How did that impact your career?
I had just recently made a decision right before that I wanted to play a few more tournaments, that I actually wanted to study tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
So that was right before or right after I started studying Raise Your Edge. And it was like, I was like, oh, I want to play a bunch of tournaments this summer. I never played more than like 5 or 6 a year. So that really gave me a boost of confidence. It was great. It came at the perfect time, and I felt like I was, and just like getting the content and exerting it in the right, or using it in the right way. But then I went to the World Series and I played more tournaments than I ever played, which was like 13, and I whiffed pretty much all of them. So, like, we were talking about tournaments and like the ups and downs, and they make you question everything. I think part of the problem that happened that summer was I started doing the video blog, and I was spending 30 hours sometimes editing them, and I was distracted, and also I was doing it publicly, like, hey, I'm at the World Series, and then all this other outside pressure that I put on myself.
So interesting you say that. I will say this. So this is, I played the World Series since 21. I was like 2009, let's call it. I think the first summer I was 21, or maybe 2008 when I went out there. 2009, I started playing World Series. I had a winning World Series 10 years in a row, or 9 years in a row. Every summer I came up profitable in tournaments, which is, in a short period of time. It's not for you. I'm just talking World Series events. 2017, my first losing World Series. I started looking at what was going on, or I started like wondering about. I was like, oh, obviously, like, listen, you can't win every year. It's just like whatever. Then the next year, I didn't win either overall in the series. And I had a lot of cashes. I had like 14 cashes, I think, or something, like a lot, but no big scores. I started looking at it, and I was like, you know what? I started my vlog in 2017 during the summer of the World Series, and I was like, I'm coming to tournaments 4 hours late. I'm starting like 1500s and 2500s at 4 or 5 p.m. I'm coming with 20, 30 blinds. And I wasn't even doing the editing for the videos, but like still like the filming, the titles, the descriptions, the uploading, all this stuff. And I started thinking about, I was like, I had to be realistic. I was like, you know what? That's like, you can't, it's not necessarily enough data, but like I started realizing that my game in theory had suffered, similar like you're saying on Twitch. Like when I'm playing tables on Twitch and then I'm talking to the chat, following everything, it's not like you're at 100% your game. And I did work with Elliot Rowe, sort of started being realistic, because it's like same thing. It's like, all right, this is happening. This is giving me this benefit and this is what it is. But like, I need to be realistic, or I need to make some cuts and decisions and realize like, okay, I'm going at 3 p.m., 4 p.m. I could go at 1 and like do some of the stuff I'm doing at home. But like what's happening? Why am I not being there? And that's a great, again, I think we align in a lot of stuff where it's like, it does impact your overall bottom line. So it's a formula, and like, you got to kind of keep an eye on it, or else you can sort of swing things out of the right concoction, if you will. So I don't know. I can relate perfectly to that. And I think there is a correlation, right? You're
Absolutely.
probably going late. You're not rested. You're tired. You're not studying.
And if you're missing early levels, that's
it's okay to lay red
to
a bit, like an
stuff
hour.
away.
If it's to go to the gym or come an hour late, okay. But if you're coming at, with 20 blinds, 6 hours in, like you're not really giving it on a shot. Like you're just basically flicking it and hope to double up and run good, right? You're hoping to cooler someone or just win a flip and then whatever. So anyway, yeah, I'm with you again. I go on a tangent, but I get fired up because some of this stuff is it's very present, and I see the same. I want to fast forward. You just final table. You got 6 and a 6 max, so an official final table. That's pretty cool. 12K score and $1,000. So it's probably what, like $800 something US for 12K. Nice return. And also, I do see your husband Andrew there. Is that when you were saying you were battling? Because there's 3 tables left, so decent chance.
Yeah, he got moved to my table, and I mean, we only played for like a couple minutes actually, but it was funny him coming over, and I'm like, oh shit, But
right.
But he got moved pretty quickly, so it wasn't a big deal.
But it's cool. So you did just final table. You got a little bit of tournament bug. You're doing a mixture, and it's kind of fun, I think, to play if you are a cash game player primarily, to mix in some tournament, because you kind of need a bit of an allure, right? Like, all right, in a cash game, I'm playing these 5, 10 or whatever stakes. I'm going to win a couple thousand, 2, 3, 4,000. I might lose 3, 4. I might go on a little downswing, but having that different format where it's like, all right, I could win $100,000 today for a small or in 2 days time. That's like exciting. It's fun, and maybe gets the blood flowing a little bit. Yeah. That's for sure. So I like where your head's at on that. All right. I got sidetracked on the Hendon Mob, a very cool site. You got your website here. What is this Risk Every Day? You talked about that. What is this website? Do you keep up with this? This is a email list here. Is this something you do? Do you send out weekly or more? Is that active or not as active right now? Just curious, because I'm actually thinking of adding one to my website. I don't have that, and I think it's a great idea. But it's like, again, that's just like one more thing that you got to kind of follow through on, or not. But
Yeah, when I was doing the podcast, I was sending emails pretty regularly,
like saying, "Hey, I have one coming up," or "This is out," and
but I have not sent one in a while.
Interesting. So. Okay, but yeah, that's cool. I think it's good to have that.
But if you do want to know when the book comes out and all of that, or when I do start one of many things, you can sign up, and then I will be sending emails.
That's cool too, because that's also not the biggest deal, right? It's like it's like you want to put out when it is like a book or something very interesting. You're not just gonna like send out like a random emails like, "Hey, it's Kristy, I'm here. Good luck this week." But you're sending when it's something that you're sharing that's cool. So I like that deal. Talk about your YouTube channel as well quickly before we take a few more questions. Talk about the editing process. How long do these take you to do? And it looks like 2 days ago you had one. You every couple of weeks or so, and even more for a while. But how has that been to learn the editing process and do that yourself? Is that something that's been fun? Did you learn from it? How would you, if someone's out at home and says, I want to, this is cool, Kristy's got her own stuff, she's doing her own things, what would be some advice that you've learned with doing this that is you like and don't like?
I love editing, actually. I think it's super fun. I could do it for hours. I mean, usually, but I mean, I wouldn't want to do it full time, but I
Mhm.
like making footage go to music. It's cool.
Mhm.
But um, then my advice, what I would say is that you can start and you can create content with nothing. You can use your phone. A lot of my videos are just because I want to say something to the people who are listening. So I whip out my iPhone and I edit it on my iPhone and then I put it up on YouTube. And anybody can do that. I think that what's important is that every time you turn the camera on, you have a purpose, and every time you upload something, there's something that you want to say, Because
Right.
sometimes I think it's like easy to be like, I don't know, I feel like I should do something, but
Right. Yeah, that's for sure important. I mean, you don't want to just be putting out to do it, or like if you're not really into it, or just to throw out. Also, it seems what I hear about you and what I would also acknowledge you for is you seem to be someone who really goes for it. You do take that first step, and that's the hardest part, because a lot of people I think at home or in poker may say, you know what, oh, that's cool, or I see these people doing the vlogs, or oh man, they get passes, or they're like known people in poker, so they get to get away with stuff, and in terms of being able to film or whatever. But reality is, if you start, like you said, you could literally, and everyone has a cell phone, you could sign up a YouTube account, you could upload a couple things, you could play around, you could put it
do it
up there,
right now.
if it works, because that's the hardest part. And like everyone I think is I need this equipment, I need that, I need an editor, I need this. Well, really you don't. And a lot of us don't have those things, or haven't even, or when we started, we didn't, and we just sort of like got going. And whether something comes with it or not, it's just still like, it's important to go to try it and risk and
Yeah.
do something that you want to do and go for it, and don't worry about how it looks or what you think, or you always take it down. You could not do it, and you could do one and never do it again. But yeah, so I think that you do a great job. It seems like you do fire. You're not afraid to go for it, and you embody that risk every day. So very cool. That was your biggest win in poker, the 55K. You talked about what helps you stay positive.
Oh man, what is it? I don't know. I think that I know the difference of being positive and being negative, and it's just way more fun to be positive. And it's like, I think that sometimes we are under the illusion that it's not a choice, or that when we're negative, it's not because we are wallowing or it's just like a choice, but that really our life is the worst or something.
Right.
And the way to be positive, usually that works for me, is to zoom out of whatever situation I'm in. Is this something that it's going to matter at my funeral? Is this amount of money that I just lost going to be a big deal in a year? And zooming out, or usually if you zoom out enough and you ask yourself, well, am I still alive? Oh, well, sweet. So,
Yeah. Yes. That's so true. It's like, I feel like you're the female like we think alike in a lot of these regards. And it's really, it's inspiring to see, Kristy. I hope, is that something, do you want, like deep down, do you want to get poker's coming back in the US? Is that something, would that be fun for you to be like sponsored by a site? Is that something that would be cool for you? Do you want to do that? Like, you've done interviewing, travel the world, you're now playing, traveling the world. Is that something else? Would you want to be to represent a site? Does that interest you at all? Is that sort of in the picture down the road maybe, or is that whatever? Like, have you ever thought
yeah,
about
I have
that?
always like dreamed of been like being like have a patch on, like, yeah, that's so cool because I think, well, before, years ago, it was because I wanted to be cool, but but now I think that I feel like I have so much to say about poker and love and how we apply this in our life that
Right.
it would just be another extension of creating a way for me to communicate with people, like another way of building that platform. Um, yeah.
So
So yeah,
that's on your radar. That would be cool. Like that's something you'd like to do. That's
yeah,
on your okay.
totally.
Sweet. Well, I hope some people hear that out there, party poker in particular, but there's other options. And I mean, really, that's what I think it's more about if the U.S. opens up, it's going to be, those are the type of opportunities that are there for Americans in poker that are doing content and are present. So that's like, those things kind of can happen very quickly, right? But it's just one of those things that it's not in the U.S. It's complicated because there's not a lot of states. If California were to come legal, like,
Oh
be
my
the
gosh,
sickest thing ever,
California,
right?
come
Yeah,
on! It would be the
that would
best
be
state.
unbelievable.
It's like a country in itself.
It is. They say, I think it's like, it would be like third largest country or something in terms of numbers, like behind Russia and Brazil or Canada or something in terms of just that alone. There's some drilling going on. I don't know if you can hear that, but it sounds very annoying on my end. I wonder if you can hear it or if you guys can hear that at home. Sorry about that. Let's take a couple more, then let's do the giveaway. We're coming up over to, this is just one of those things, Kristy. I can't put a time cap on because it's moving, there's a lot we're covering. I like this. What do you guys like to do? Mo for sure. That is Andrew. What do you guys like to do outside of poker? What is something you guys do when you're not playing?
We, man, oh my gosh, we play a lot. We love movies and we love TV. I mean, we don't watch a ton of it, but when we do relax or what we do for fun is always like, let's go to a movie. I think it's like the storytelling. We just love like the people and stories behind people.
Very cool. And so, yeah, I would say, well, I want to know what you think of Uncut Gems. And if do you have any movies that you guys saw recently that you'd recommend online, Netflix or theater, anything out?
We just saw The Gentleman and it was intense, but it was really cool storytelling. It was really good.
Okay. Well, I'm glad you can't hear this drilling because it's driving me insane. Like I would have bet you could hear it because it's so loud. Like I can barely hear myself think. So we'll take a few more and then we'll go from there and we'll do the giveaway. A lot of good questions. A lot of these have been covered. We did talk for a good bit of time before. So I see people asking about starting the poker industry. Do you have a favorite poker player? Besides Andrew, I know he's your hero, your knight in shining armor, and he's you've known him from the beginning, and he's done what he's done and all this. But give me someone like even just covering over the years that you're just like, wow, that's so cool, or give me one. Can you do that? Is that allowed? I don't know if that's.
Yeah, no, it's fine. I mean, honestly, like the answer that I've always given, because as a reporter, he was just the best, is Daniel Negreanu, because I could literally ask him to do anything, and also he's like the person that when I did videos everybody wanted to see, and he could just be like, I would say something, I'm like, here's an idea, and he'd be like, boom boom boom, and he would have like a perfect sound bite, and he was just like the easiest to interview.
I like Daniel. I've gotten to be close with Daniel over the years, and he really, I mean, there's just you can't really say, I mean, even Ivy now, he's sort of disappeared in terms of like being present in the tournament scene or on TV poker. But he's sort of like, I would say, one of the guys just like known as the main guy in poker. Everyone kind of knows him in and out of poker. He's mainstream, and he's gotten himself in some crazy legal stuff just with the edge sorting at casinos and Borgata, and then whatever. Antonio's got kids now. He's sort of slowed down a bit, but those are like, I'd say Helmuth, Ivy, Antonio Negreanu are sort of like the big four, just pillars of and if someone outside of poker maybe knows them, they would know them. But there's something about Dan who's just he's very talkative, very approachable, very friendly, very great ambassador. Not that those other guys aren't either. Just sort of like, I think that's he's sort of the guy that's just like everyone, you see him, he's been everywhere, and he just has that presence when he talks at the table and gives you a lot on an interview, right? He's fun, he's energetic, he knows what to do. You don't have to kind of pry it out of them. So yeah, I'd align that with you. Someone asking if you're married, do you have kids? Is it possible to play poker for a living and have a family?
It's definitely possible, obviously. Jeff is doing it very successfully. And it helps that Andrew and I both play poker, but we don't have kids yet, and I have no idea how that's going to be.
Yeah, can't. Okay, so you can't quite speak on it yet, but you have an idea, and you definitely have friends that do it. So I'm sure you have some insight. Yeah, I'll say it's all possible, but you just gotta go with, learn as you go. Do you still find poker as fun as it was, or what's the biggest change in the last, say, 5 years?
Poker is fun when I am learning. So every time I look back at my career and I'm like, that time really sucked. It was because I wasn't going to go play with the intention of just getting better. It was because I was just trying to make money. And poker is fun when you're learning, and that's all that matters. And then the results, come where they may. And let me tell you, with all this experience over the years, when you go to play to just continually become a better player, your results always are way better than when you're going to play to just win, to try to win, to just it's like mental game stuff. It's just, and it's just way more fun. Because you're kinder to yourself when you make mistakes.
Right.
You're just like, oh, great. Glad I made that mistake because I won't make it again. Or I couldn't have known that this was, in this position, that I shouldn't have done that until I just got,
Yeah, I agree. Question here: do you play poker on American sites? You mentioned earlier a bit, or do you still play? Are you playing poker online at all? Like, do you recommend any? Do you have any feedback on any?
Nope.
Okay. Best poker promoter today. I guess they're saying, best poker. Like, in terms of if you're watching or doing stuff content wise, or who do you feel in general? Is there like a handful of people that you think do a good job, or that you are like, all right, this is cool, or?
Yes, I think all the poker vloggers. I think that you and Johnny and Andrew Nemi and Brad Owen. I mean, I was just looking at Brad's channel and he has like 160,000 subscribers.
Crazy. Yeah.
It is crazy. And his videos get like 100, 200,000.
It really, I mentioned to you a bit before the show about project I'm working on, which I can't wait to. I haven't even like hinted at anything because I'm a big believer about, doing instead of talking. I don't want to come out and say like whatever, like, oh, these things. Say I got fun stuff I'm working on, some stuff it'll be announced not too long that gonna be doing. But I feel like there's so many talented people within poker, and the content, the creation, the sharing, and there's so many platforms that I'm excited because it is cool to see. Like I'm kind of I see you as well. It's like you're kind of in the other role as well, like doing on the business side or promoting side, doing some other things, and it's like fun to watch a lot of other people, because it's weird to think, but we're almost like veterans now, right? Like we've been doing poker for like 10 plus years. It's kind of weird to say that. And it's like, oh, like this kid's coming up. I'm like, man, I'm getting old. Like I'm 33, but seeing, All in Pav, Matt Staples, like Brad Owen, these got Johnny Vibes. These guys they're dominating and learning and growing and building stuff within poker in the community. It's just like kind of cool to see that, like other people that are like going with their dreams and building these things. There's a lot of people. There is. It's like I find new YouTube content, and I'm sure you as well don't have a lot of time. You're not watching the stuff I do. I'm not like saying that I know you have a vlog. I'll be honest, like I haven't watched your vlogs. I would love to. I've seen bits and pieces. I check Instagram, right? But it's like hard to really, if you're doing the content, you can't really like watch and do everything else. There's no time. But the bits and bobs that I get, I'm like, wow, it's really good. Or I'll watch the intro to a vlog, or I'll watch like a segment on Instagram. I'm like, damn, that looks really cool. Or that's a great edit. Or this guy's very talented. Or this girl's very talented. And it's like, it's pretty cool, right? Because there's so much great content now. And I can't tell you how many times I'll stumble on someone else promotes or tags somebody. I check them out and they have like a huge following, and I'll look at a little bit of their stuff. I'm like, man, this guy's hilarious. Or like, this is great what they're doing or how they're doing it. And it's really cool, right? Like there's so many people that are doing this now, that poker, like it is growing. And I think really for poker to remain solid, successful, and growing, you got to have this. You have to have these people, Brad Owen, Andrew Nemi, Andrew Marino, Johnny Vibes. These guys are saving poker like that. People are coming, they're seeing people live because of Twitch, because of YouTube, because of podcasts. I think that's the reason why there's been because poker's gotten harder. There's solvers, there's equipment, there's study, but the numbers, there's it's got to be a check and balance. If there's something that makes it harder, the U.S. Black Friday happened. Okay, poker's in trouble. What's helping it? How does it get back into trajectory, right? You know what I'm saying? So I think that's the reason. I don't think it gets enough credit. And I think you saw world-class players making fun of Jamie Staples or, me, whoever, right? They're like, oh, these guys are it doesn't matter. They're like thinking, or Kevin Martin, for example, got to deal with Poker Stars. Then he came over to Party Poker. But Kevin was playing $10, $20 tournaments, and people were outraged. I remember seeing Polk or Ingram, these guys say that's a joke. How are these guys getting deals? You should give it to someone. But no, that's what it's about. They're the ones that are moving the needle, and people are relating to it. They don't care if you're playing a $100,000 buy-in or a $20 tournament. If you're teaching the game, outward focus, showing what's going on, walking through the process, and connecting. I think that's where it's at. And I think now, finally, at the higher level and the better players, you see NoLimit.gg, those Rainer Kempe and Fedor, these guys coming up with the Twitch team. They're putting out content. They're kind of getting it this is what poker needs, or else there is no poker, right? And I think that's sort of a switch has been flicked in the last year or two where people are starting to understand, okay, I get it and I respect it a bit.
Definitely. I also want to touch on one thing because it was sort of controversial when some of these higher stake poker players or these guys who also talk about strategy and teach people in a very specific way, like GTO and all that, and PIO and which is great. But what I think that was so clear, at least to me and probably a lot of people, that they just didn't understand is that their focus is so narrow. It's did you ever ask yourself if Susie from the Midwest who plays in bar games wants to learn by using a solver and studying the ranges online?
Right.
No, she wants to have fun and watch a story and see what the life is of a poker player who travels and who's coming up and who's going to face the exact same types of players that she's going to play.
Right.
And that is not only okay, but that's great. They have no aspirations of playing $100,000 tournament. I don't really either until I'm a whale, until I can
you got Kristy
throw around that money. It's just, it's not who I am. I'm never going to be sauce, I'm not going to be on PIO for hours a day. And I'm okay with that. I know where my place is in poker and I want to win tournaments and I can study those and do the things in a way for me that works, but it's funny that I think some people can be so incredibly smart, but also fail to see the value and a wider view of success in their given area.
Absolutely. I agree. I think it's just so true. And it's overlooked, I think, sometimes. And people just, got to kind of put that in perspective and what that really means and who you're targeting, what the population is. My dad loves poker. Same thing. He's a smart guy, could do some stuff, but he's not going to spend, 3 hours a day and do pile solver. He wants to learn. He likes to get good, cool content, look at ideas, look at short videos, look at maybe a chart and stuff. But that's where it's at. All right, we're going to take one more question here, and then we'll do a giveaway. Sorry, Kristy, I forgot we've gone for we did start a tiny bit late, but we've been going for a while here now. All right, opinion on Party Poker. Will they manage to get to Poker Stars level? But you don't necessarily have to say that. But what are your thoughts on Party Poker and maybe some of the other sites? What's going on out there? Do you have any strong feelings on any of the sites?
I mean, personally, I have a special place in my heart for Party Poker because that's what we were playing. That's what Andrew is raising the guy on the river bluffing. That's why we met. And I remember it always being fun. So I think that sites are really focusing on the recreational player, and I think that's great. I am very excited to see what Phil Galfond does with his site. And honestly, I have no idea about PokerStars. I haven't been on PokerStars in forever, so
Right.
no idea. But I can't wait for some stuff to get out to California because I'm just like not really willing to play on sites that's not really regulated anymore.
Right. Yeah. It's, I mean, I think it will happen. It's just it's so crazy, right? It's amazing that that's just not a thing. It's like the fantasy sports deal that's in like 40 states plus, and it's way more gamble and sort, just the whole thing, how it's gone down is pretty wild that like, we're like celebrating when Michigan, Pennsylvania passed, New Jersey, Nevada, Delaware, New York, I think I saw mentioned in Illinois. Those, I mean, you throw in those two states with maybe a couple more random ones, like it's all of a sudden like decent network. You're talking 10 states and some shared liquidity. I think you could. It's decent. I think that's enough to sort of tip it to get moving. But yeah, we're gonna. Anything else you want to touch on? We're gonna do a giveaway here, and we've covered a lot. Very, very. I feel like I have a much better understanding of your journey and your overall poker prowess. But do you have anything you want to add or touch on here?
Yeah, I guess there's one thing. People always ask me, how do I become pro, or is it possible, or how do I do it?
Mm-hmm.
And I did a while ago, because I got this question so much, I wrote a blog post on it's KristyArnett.com/podcast/poker pro guide.
Okay.
And because I know we talked about a ton, and it was kind of hard to get into, but there's just, it's right there on the top right. Go up a little. Yeah, right there with me playing poker right there.
Mm-hmm.
Want to become a professional poker player? Yeah.
Yep.
So if you have those kinds of questions, because I get that a lot, I just put this in one place, and I think it's pretty truthful and hopefully helpful.
Wow, look
and
at that.
That if you do decide to go down this path and you continue playing poker, what I always tell people is allow it to make you a better person. Every step of the way, poker is showing you your strengths, showing you your weaknesses, and everything is an opportunity to be better. And like you said, Jeff, like I totally agree. It's one of the best analogies for life. It's life in a microcosm. You could experience the highs and lows of an entire lifetime in one session. Mm-hmm. So use it. It's there, and it will make you a better player too.
I love it. That's awesome. There's my wife. Look, Amelia in the chat saying hi, guys. So
hi.
Keep checking in. There's Kristy. I know.
I wish you guys lived closer.
I know, right? Well, we gotta. Well, next time we're in LA, we'll let you know. Yes. Hopefully you'll be in town, and that'd be cool to meet up. And who knows? Maybe you have a baby at that time. You said you're working on it, so we'll send our positive energy your way. Let's wind this up here. We're just kind of going through again. You can check out Kristy's Hendon Mob. You can check out her Instagram. You can see, look at that, stories present there, keeps it active. Also Andrew Moreno, her husband, and then she has a Twitter. She does podcasts, has her website. So a lot of stuff. If you want to know more about Kristy, check it out. And we will go here, and I'm going to let you tell me when. So we're going to copy this link. We're going to go here, and we're going to draw a $55 ticket for someone to win for asking a question and engaging. You tell me when, Kristy, and on your finger, they will be winning a $55 party poker ticket. Tell me when to fire.
Oh, this is exciting. Okay, ready, go.
Boom. That's a go. That's official. And we have a Duck Dodgers going to win it. $55 ticket. I'll send them a message and let them know, and then we will hopefully catch up again soon. Kristy, would love to have you on again in the future. Come on yours and do a good podcast anytime. I would love to do that. It's a lot of fun, engaging, talking, and shout out to A Choice. I know you did the personal development class. I did as well. Learned a lot from that. We didn't get to really cover that as well. You did mention you guys did a class and you were on the brink of divorce and kind of got that just talking about that is very powerful stuff. So I know you like emotional intelligence and to learn and work on yourself and do personal development. So it's really cool and great to see you're doing so well, and congrats on your final table. All the best. Wish you success for 2020 in the future with a baby to bring into your life. We're really sending that your way, and all the best to you and Andrew. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you so much. Best to you too in 2020.
Yes. All right, Kristy, have a great day. We'll talk soon. That's Kristy Arnett, everyone. Give her a follow, all the platforms, and this will be out on all the different podcast outlets, and we'll see her very soon. Thanks, Kristy.
Bye.
Bye.